One moment, Rangder Kessel is the greatest mage to ever live. The next, he's a human donut with a gaping hole through his chest. And it all began when he decided to challenge Perseidus, the demon of destruction. Who dares trespass on my sacred ground? The demon roars. Unfazed, the lone figure holds up a simple stick, calmly declaring, "Oh me? I'm just a mage." But spoiler alert, guys, he wasn't just any mage. This was Rangder Kessel, the greatest mage in all of history. An explosion erupts as the demon takes a swipe at him, but the mage leaps back. Suddenly, trypophobia-inducing pods bubble up on the demon's back. One by one, they pop off and explode around the mage. But Rangder Kessel is unharmed. With a casual swing, he waves and the fumes fade away like smoke. Then, in a split second, Rangder Kessel appears over the demon's head and then utters an incantation. A halo of light forms in his hand and boom, smashes into the demon's head, sending it crashing. Demon looks utterly defeated. "Don't be too full of yourself," Rangder Kessel declares. "You're just leftover evil after God created life." Folks, I guess you're curious how it all came to this. Let's rewind a bit. To a lonely cottage on top of a cliff. His apprentice Mojan bursts in, broken and desperate, collapsing at his feet. Through sobs, she reveals Perseidus destroyed her family, her home, half the land. She grabs his hand, demanding answers. "You received letters from kings asking for your help. Why did you do nothing?" Rangder Kessel's eyes remain blank, but a memory stirs. He remembers the day a grime-covered girl arrived at his cottage and begged to be his apprentice. He knew then she was his destiny, his soulmate. Rangder Kessel did not care about the human world. He had long ago cut ties with this greedy and rotten world. But for Mojan, his soulmate, he is willing to do anything. Now back to the battle. The fight isn't over yet. The defeated demon gurgles, dissolving into a disgusting bubbling goo. It writhes and squirms. The goo stretches, rips apart, shedding its monstrous old skin like a snake. A new form emerges. Rangder Kessel watches stoically. From the sludge emerges a new, powerfully built demon. He says, "Well, actually, I do need punks like you now and then. Because honestly, crushing weaklings all the time gets super boring." A spark of energy gathers in his clawed hand. "Let me play with you a little," he declares. The Demon King unleashes a massive wave of energy, zooming straight for our mage. Rangder Kessel barely turns in time. There's a fresh cut on his cheek. The demon taunts him, "Don't die too easily." The demon's eyes glow with pure malice. "I'm going to rip you apart," he promises, "and enjoy watching you squirm in pain." The mage replies calmly, "I was contemplating how to get rid of something that doesn't die." He looks up, eyes filled with new resolve. "Maybe rip you apart," he muses. "You know what? That's not a bad idea." 10 days pass. The fierce storm from their epic battle finally subsides. Mojan races across the wasteland, desperate to find her master. She pulls her mount to a halt, dismounts, and calls out for him. Then she spots him in the distance. Battered, bruised, she screams his name. Her eyes go wide with horror. Her master, Rangder Kessel, has a gaping hole blown straight through his chest. She runs toward him without hesitation. The girl leaps into his arms, sobbing her heart out, completely distraught. "How could you just disappear like that?" she cries. "What was I even supposed to do?" The mage looks down at her, a sad expression on his face. Then he stumbles and collapses. Tries to reassure her, saying he's just tired. But she screams, "You are not fine." She blames herself, sobbing that it's all her fault. If only she'd gotten there sooner. He interrupts her, holding out several small stones. "Take these," he instructs. "I tore Perseidus to shreds and sealed his pieces in them." The stones, each glowing faint blue, hold the demon's head, torso, limbs, and tail. And the last one? Its heart. He gives her a final crucial command. "If I die, give them to the sages. Don't let evil ever get its hands on them." He warns her. The demon is immortal. It could reawaken at any moment. Overwhelmed, Mojan collapses. She lets out a gut-wrenching wail of pure despair. Her master gently wipes her tears. "Why are you making that face again?" he asks. "The demon is gone. You should be happy." He pulls her into one last tender hug, but she can only beg him, "Please, don't die." As he holds his weeping apprentice, the mage doesn't understand. Why was Mojan still sad? Didn't he just get rid of the demon for her? But it was all in vain. His hand goes limp. And so, eternal rest finally came upon the Grand Mage Rangder Kessel. Many, many years pass. His simple wand, planted as a memorial, had grown into a massive, magnificent tree. That land where he fought the demon, it became Mage's Island. And so much time passed that when a boy awoke there, he couldn't remember anything of what happened in his past life. Flashback time. Mojan stands before a kneeling man who calls her master. This dude is Hardin Salier, Mojan's familiar, and one of the rarest magical creatures in this world. Mojan is cradling a newborn baby. He's begging her to ditch her crazy plan. Then, the mic drop. It is now 6 centuries after Rangder Kessel's death. Talk about a really long-term plan. She spills the tea. She spent 600 years grinding. She mastered healing and shot up the ranks to seraph status. Her one and only goal? To bring Rangder Kessel's soul back to the land of the living. Mojan flat out admits this was her life's singular mission. But Hardin's like, hold on for a sec. Because her resurrection method was placing one of the demon stones in the baby. Yes, Perseides' heart. Yikes. His warning is grim. If this kid can't contain the demon's power, it's game over. All the other seal stones? They'll wake up. Total catastrophe. Mojan places a hand on his shoulder. That's exactly why I'm giving this mission to you, she says. Then comes the desperate plea, please Hardin, raise this child for me. Hardin's so stunned. Suddenly, Mojan chants, I grant you freedom and free will. The magical collar glows like a Christmas tree, then breaks apart. The broken collar clinks to the ground. Hardin, the familiar, is finally free for the first time in, well, forever. Mojan lifts the swaddled baby, a bundle of potential chaos, and offers him to Hardin. He gently, almost reverently, takes the infant. As Mojan dips out, we finally get a glimpse of the baby. It's a pink-haired little bundle of cuteness. Hardin calls out that the baby looks just like him. As he cradles the tiny bundle, the man asks the million-dollar question, what is his name? Mojan glances back, a somber look on her face, but she offers no name, just silence. Under the full moon that night, Hardin, the familiar, now a single dad, rows away from the island in a tiny boat, baby in tow. No pressure. Once on land, he shifts. From human to hulking, wolf-like beast, carrying the baby safely in his massive jaws. Bolts through desolate lands, scaling cliffs by day, crashing in mountain caves by night. This dude is committed. Back in human form, he watches the child by the fire's glow. A new purpose, a new life. He gazes at the sleeping infant, a mix of duty and what have I gotten myself into, etched on his face. 2 weeks of relentless travel later, he finally hits his destination. Time to set up shop. He arrives at Limbo, a town tucked away in a forgotten corner of the continent, perfect for laying low. Surrounded by steep cliffs, this serene spot is ideal for anyone trying to disappear off the grid. Very picturesque, too. Now Hardin, back in beast form, stalks through the reeds, eyeing his prey. But then, surprise, his hunt gets rudely interrupted. Shout slices through the quiet, calling out his name. The startled deer perks up. So much for stealth. Suddenly, a young pink-haired boy bursts from the grass, pointing with wild excitement. There's our dinner, he yells. Hardin, beast form and all, is absolutely furious. Hey kid, what are you doing? I told you to be quiet. They're dinner bolts. Hardin yells, darn it, it hurt us. Yeah, no kidding, Sherlock. But frustration gives way to pure joy as they give chase. Wow, you're really fast, Hardin. The kid screams with delight. Later that night, dinner is fish. The boy pouts, clearly upset he didn't get his promised meat. He blames Hardin's hunting skills. Hardin snaps back immediately. It was your shouting that scared it off, you little rascal. The bickering escalates. Hardin, veins popping, declares the kid is the one who owes an apology. Hardin, adopting the tough love approach, ends the argument with a gentle or not so gentle smack to the head. Then, back to lessons. Hardin took his guardian gig seriously. He taught the boy everything, how to read, write, and totally dominate wilderness survival. And wouldn't you know it, over time, the boy becomes a pretty epic hunter himself, proudly showing off his latest kill. Hardin instilled respect for life and death, teaching him to pray over every animal they hunted. A little philosophy with your dinner. But for all his growing skills, the boy still gets spooky at night, too scared to sleep alone. Some things never change, huh? With a monumental sigh, Hardin agrees to stay. Just this once, kid, he grumbles. We all know how that goes. On those just this once nights, Hardin would spin tales of the great mage who saved the land. A bedtime story for the ages. Soon enough, the boy would be out like a light. Hardin, ever the softy, would quietly pull the blankets up. Pure dad vibes. Hardin started as a magical creature on a mission. But somewhere along the line, he became a parent, finding true happiness in the chaos. Seasons flew by, years piled up. And someone was clearly putting in work. We're talking serious grind here. Yeah, you guessed it, the child grew tall. Time skip, folks. Meet Ranghei, now 17, taking a well-deserved breather from chopping wood in the snow. He eyes a massive log he just felled. This should last all winter, he thinks. But then a small oopsie moment. How do I even drag this monster back home? The eternal struggle. Suddenly, a rustling in the woods catches his ear. Uh-oh, what's cooking now? A gigantic, monstrous boar stomps out of the trees, growling. Meanwhile, back at the cozy cabin, Hardin is hacking up a lung. Not looking so good, old friend. He mutters, wondering why the firewood is taking an eternity. He turns mid-sentence and freezes. A visitor, a stern-looking dude in a fancy white cape. Stranger just stares. Cold, intense, not the friendly neighbor type. Hardin's eyes go wide. Edvar? He whispers, pure disbelief in his voice. Looks like an old acquaintance or enemy is here. Edvar greets him by name, adding a little jab. You look a lot more human now, Hardin. Ouch. Hardin glares. What brings Mojan's apprentice all the way to my doorstep, he growls, skipping the pleasantries. Edvar turns, admitting he was just curious at first. But now that he's here, his suspicions are growing. Uh-huh, Edvar, we believe you. He stares intently, deep in thought. What is Master hiding? He wonders why would she check on a worthless old magical creature so desperately, every single night. He glances inside the humble cabin, admitting his curiosity is piqued. He's definitely on a fishing expedition. Hardin scoffs. Hiding? That's an outrageous speculation, Edvar. Tries to sell the story that Mojin is just endlessly kind, worried about him even after freeing him. Nice try, buddy. I suppose she is needlessly caring, Edvar says, dripping with sarcasm. Pities an animal she personally freed, he adds, twisting the knife. Hardin breaks into a cold sweat. Busted. He knows he's been caught red-handed in a lie. Edvar's friendly act vanishes. However, he says, then bam, Hardin loses an arm in an instant. Wait, what just happened? Hardin lets out a blood-curdling scream. This is getting dark, fast. Grotesque red tendrils burst from Hardin. Edvar, cool as ice, says, unfortunately, I'm not as magnanimous. He continues, especially to animals like you that lie. Ouch. Talk about adding insult to injury. The tendrils swell into a giant fleshy hand, wrapping around Hardin and squeezing him tighter than a vice. With Hardin trapped, Edvar demands, where did you hide the realm? Hardin gasps, barely able to speak. Why are you looking for the heart of the demon Perseidus? He chokes out. Edvar reveals that for 17 years, ever since Hardin vanished, he couldn't find a trace of the demon's heart. Now it all makes sense. He's certain Hardin's vanishing act is totally linked to the missing demon heart. He leans in, pressing hard. Can you swear on your life that it is mere speculation? What a sick game, my friend. Edvar squeezes even harder. Hardin screams, pure agony ripping from his throat. This is rough. Suddenly a shout echoes through the snowy mountains. Hardin! Hardin, panting and bleeding, forces out a single, desperate name. Rangha. Edvar turns his head, intrigued. Who dares interrupt his torture session? And there he is, Ranghe, standing in the distance, ready for action. Who are you? He demands, no fear in his eyes. With the massive boar casually slung over his shoulder, Ranghe issues a simple, firm command. Put him down. Back outside Hardin's hut, the three are in an intense face-off. Edvar's golden eyes narrow, scrutinizing the pink-haired kid who just crashed his party. Ranghe stares right back, a grim and unwavering challenge in his gaze. A slight curve plays on Edvar's mouth. So it's you, he utters, recognizing the secret his master hid. Ranghe's grip tightens on his axe. He's ready for round two. Ignoring the mage entirely, Ranghe unleashes a furious scream. I said to let him go. Edvar ponders why his master would hide the powerful demon's heart inside this seemingly worthless child. He drops the massive boar carcass with a thud, his full attention now on the new threat. It may be better to see for myself, Edvar decides, raising a hand that crackles with dark energy. With a simple chant, monstrous, fleshy tendrils erupt from the ground. Ranghe's eyes widen, but he doesn't flinch as the grotesque mass of tentacles looms over him. Hardin, still caught in the monstrous grip, screams with his last strength, Ranghe, run! But Ranghe doesn't run. He just mutters a single, powerful word, disappear. With a blur of motion, he swings his simple woodsman's axe. The axe cleaves through the magical tendrils as if they were smoke, severing them instantly. Edvar looks on, slightly surprised. He definitely didn't expect that move. Before Edvar can react, Ranghe closes the distance, dashing straight towards him. Are you a mage? Edvar asks, genuinely curious about the boy's power. Ranghe's eyes are glowing gold now, blazing with fury. I said to disappear. Unleashes a massive wave of raw power that slices Edvar's body in half. The blast sends Edvar flying backwards, carving a trench in the snow-covered ground. Meanwhile, the scene shifts far away to Mage's Island, Mobiante. Inside a towering structure, a lone figure watches from a high window. It's Edvar, now wearing round, blue-tinted glasses. A crack suddenly appears on one of the lenses. He calmly removes the broken spectacles. Looking at his hand, he remembers the boy. Ranghe, was it? A thin black gash marks his palm. He clenches his fist, a knowing expression forming on his face. Interesting. Meanwhile, a feathered messenger with long tail feathers soars through the sky towards the mage's tower. Flies into a grand hall where Mojin and two others are waiting. As it lands, the creature transforms into a winged humanoid figure. The messenger, Ru, greets her leader. Greetings, merciful Seraph, she says. Mojin, standing between two of her magic agents, gets straight to the point. Ro, what brings you here? Ro explains she has a letter from Emperor Gaff of Tutalican, inviting Mojin to the upcoming coronation. Mojin is immediately suspicious. Tutalican? Weren't they at war for the past 30 years? She questions why they're inviting her now after refusing all attempts at arbitration. She turns away from the scroll, already knowing the answer. It's obvious what they're after. Magic agent Guan Mercure chimes in, suggesting the Emperor wants her support amid succession conflicts. Mojin listens silently, processing the blatant political maneuvering. The other agent, Lasia Gazpar, scoffs at the Emperor's greed, questioning his need for Mage's power. Mojin speaks. It is the law of mages to not get involved in wars or conflicts between nations. Stating they must adhere to that law, she clenches her fist, and the invitation crumbles into dust. Ro bows deeply. I shall obey. Just then, a door creaks open and a voice offers, "What if I attend in your stead?" Mojin's eyes dart to the side. Edvar? The #1 magician, Kurth Edvar, argues that because Tutalican has always supported mages, they shouldn't just cut ties. Guan Merkior disagrees, saying they can't send him. Apparently, the top mage's absence would leave Mobiante vulnerable. Edvar dismisses their concerns, telling them not to be so modest about their own abilities. Mojin cuts in. It is not that simple, Edvar. He assures her he has no intention of violating the law of mages or defying her will. He gestures to a map, pointing out Tutalican guards one of the seal stones containing demon Perseidis' head, Acheron. He argues they must follow the kingdom's politics closely to prevent a disaster that could awaken the sealed demon. Bro is cooking up a plan. Mojin catches on. You want to create an excuse to protect the seal stone from up close? You wouldn't trust me, Edvar says, bowing his head and placing a fist over his heart. I will not do anything that may bring disgrace upon mages. Back in the quiet woods of Limbo, Hardin clutches his bandaged chest, reeling from the fight. That is absurd, he thinks. Black magic in the flesh. Was Edvar's magic always this powerful? He sighs, wondering if he's just gotten too old to sense such things anymore. A small voice breaks the silence. Hardin? Are you still mad? Hardin looks at him incredulously. Kid, why do you think I'm mad? Ranghe looks guiltily. Well, you haven't said a word since morning. And, he adds, scratching his hand, you told me to never use it. That thing you call magic. Ranghe tries to explain himself, saying he just lost control. He was so angry that Jerk tried to kill Hardin. But Hardin just scoffs, saying he's fine without an arm. Much to Ranghe's shock. Then Hardin points to the real problem. In his rage, Ranghe completely destroyed their home of 17 years. He warns Ranghe that having powers you can't handle is dangerous. Next time, he might kill someone instead of just wrecking a house. Ranghe looks away, muttering that he's sick of hearing the same old lecture. But Hardin softens his tone, telling him that power can also be used to protect the people you care about, just like he did today. That tone shift was smoother than a Spotify transition. Ranghe is speechless, looking up at his father, surprised by the sudden praise. Hardin looks him in the eyes and genuinely thanks him for caring. Overcome with emotion, Ranghe rushes in for a hug, admitting he can't even imagine losing him. Hardin gently pats his son's head. His expression hardens, a grim look in his eye. Something is definitely up. Ranghe wants to ask about the man who attacked them, but he just can't bring himself to say it. Hardin breaks the silence, telling him to pack their things. They have to leave before nightfall. Destination? Mobiante. They have to tell someone named Mojan what happened, but Hardin has a bad feeling about it. Ranghe's head whips around. He knows that name. Mojan, the Grand Mage's apprentice from Mage's Island? Hardin confirms it, dropping a bombshell. She is the reason you and I exist in this world. Ranghe's heart pounds in his chest. With a shaky breath, he asks the question he's always wondered. Is she my mother? The question makes Hardin flinch, and for the first time in his life, folks, Ranghe feels a deep anxiety about who and what he really is. Talk about an identity crisis, Hardin finally answers. No, not really, but she misses and loves you. Quietly adds a probably under his breath, knowing the tragic future that awaits the boy. Ranghe looks up, his mind reeling from the impossible revelation. What does this even mean? Okay, time for a Ranghe flashback. Our boy's powers first showed up not long after his 8th birthday. One day, a young Ranghe frantically calls for Hardin, who's inside folding laundry. Clueless. Annoyed, Hardin grumbles about bath time. But the second he pulls back that curtain, he freezes, totally speechless. Why? A gleeful Ranghe is literally floating. He's suspended inside a massive magical water sphere, absolutely loving life. Next thing you know, a loud slap. Hardin smacks him on the legs, yelling to never play around like that again. Yikes. Ranghe got the scolding of his life that day. Left to cry as Hardin lectured him for what felt like hours. Hardin was terrified. This magical power, totally untaught, might awaken something far more dangerous inside Ranghe. That's a bad omen, but of course the kid had no clue. Just like most protagonists. Even after the scolding, Ranghe kept seeing strange glowing energies everywhere. The magic was calling him. He manages to catch one in his hands, but just as he does, poof, it vanishes, leaving him utterly confused. As expected, Hardin in beast form catches him red-handed. Are you summoning spirits and playing behind my back again? Fast forward to the present. Ranghe and Hardin are camped out for the night, feeling the weight of their long journey. Lying awake, Ranghe drops a bombshell. I think I'll become a mage. Talk about a career change. Hardin, bandaged and exhausted, just grumbles back. Random much? Go back to sleep. But Ranghe has his reasons. First off, I'm too big to ride on your back now, dude. Hardin snaps back. When did I say I'd let you ride me? Ranghe sits up, resolve clear. You said Mage Mojan is good at healing. I'll learn it and heal your arm. Hardin thinks about his little secret. Actually, you're the one who taught her healing magic. Ranghe says, you just scoffed at me. But Hardin insists he's no dream crusher. He rolls over, muttering, I just don't want to be a burden on my child, that's all. Classic dad move. The mood shifts. Ranghe quietly replies, but you're not my father. Ouch, that's a gut punch. Those words hit Hardin hard. The silence between them becomes deafening. Big feels right here, folks. Hardin rustles in his sleep sack. You're right, my bad. Ranghe quickly clarifies he didn't mean it badly. He adds, I think you're closer than a father. Hardin just grumbles and tells him to go to sleep already. After a beat of silence, Ranghe settles back in. His mind is made up. Anyway, I'm gonna become a mage. Sometime later, they're trudging through a scorching desert canyon. Ranghe is already over it. No, this is ridiculous. Hardin notes the region isn't usually this hot, but Ranghe has bigger problems. That's not it. We've starved for 4 days. Ranghe said, forget the heat. I need food. He's desperate for meat, fruit, anything. They found nothing. How much longer do we have to walk? Hardin tells him to stop grumbling. Village is just a little farther. Ranghe shoots back. You've been saying that for 2 days. But this time, Hardin was actually right. After a half day of walking, and boom, a village in the distance. As they approach the desolate village, Verita, Ranghe's excitement fades. This place feels anything but hopeful. They trudge through dusty streets, looking completely out of place among the locals. Tourists in a bad neighborhood. Suddenly, Ranghe spots strange, flame-shaped fruit at a market stall. He picks one up, intrigued. A vendor tells them it's rare, delicious local fruit, 4 stars each. Ranghe, who's never used money, has 0 clue what stars are. Realizing they're broke, the vendor's attitude sours instantly. No money? Get lost. Worthless bums. Harsh much? They quickly learn this place hates the poor. Hardin worries. They need money to reach Mobiante. Big problem, but he has absolutely nothing of value to sell. Talk about a pickle. Just then, they stop. In front of them, a general store with a sign of crossed swords and a shield. A smarmy shopkeeper with a monocle greets them. Welcome to Port's General Store, he says, but his smile vanishes when he sees their ragged clothes. No peddlers, please. We sell, not buy, he sniffs. Hardin explains they're desperate. He asks him to just look. Port recognizes it, a rare, familiar taming green magic stone. But its power is spent, he says, so it won't fetch much. Hardin pleads it's priceless to him. Port's final offer, 800 stars, not a single star more. Ranghe, thinking 800 stars is cheap, spots a purse. He grabs it right off the wall and starts rummaging. Hardin tries to beg for more, but Port isn't budging. Then he spots exactly what Ranghe is doing. Hey you, what are you doing? Don't touch that. Hardin turns to see Ranghe holding a satchel. Hardin, look. Small outside, huge inside. I want this. The shopkeeper is livid. Not a chance. That's the only magic satchel by Melon Bellatorio. It's priceless. Ranghe's never heard of him. The shopkeeper is stunned. You don't know Melon? Almost as famous as Rangder Kessel? He explains Melon made the satchel for the great mage Rangder Kessel. It's the only one left in the entire world. Ranghe is impressed. Wow, that's so cool. May I have it? I'm a mage too. The shopkeeper is utterly speechless. Let's finish up our transaction, Hardin says smoothly. He then scolds Ranghe for touching things and makes him put the satchel back. No argument. The deal is done. The shopkeeper gives him the money, even tossing in an extra 30 stars. Not bad. As they leave, Ranghe is still pouting. He clearly wanted that magic satchel. Can't blame him. Hardin says the money is good for a room and food, but as they reach the door, the shopkeeper calls out, Hey, wait. Hardin turns back, a questioning look on his face. What now? The shopkeeper leans forward with a proposition. If you're a mage, why not make real money instead of chump change? He slides a poster across the counter. It's a bounty notice for a Gugon, a monster nested right on the village mountain. Hardin eyes the bounty poster. A Gugon? He asks. Uh-oh, he knows it. Its body heat turned the village into a desert. Every expedition failed. So, the bounty for its head? A cool 1 million stars. Ranghe's eyes practically turn into star symbols. 1 million? Ka-ching? But Hardin's not interested. He pushes the poster back. We have no time, he says. It's a long journey ahead. Bro just wants an inn. Later, Hardin has a feast of meat ready. Ranghe, come out and eat, he calls. The room is silent. Ranghe is gone. Oh no. Wondering if the kid fell asleep bathing, Hardin grabs the handle. He slides the door open. The bath is empty. A sinking feeling washes over Hardin. Don't tell me. Sure enough, Ranghe is scaling the massive sheer cliff face under the stars, complaining the rocks are scorching hot, of course. Panting, he remarks on the mountain's height. Nearing the peak, the rocks are burning his hands. He signed up for climbing, not grilling. He finally pulls himself over the ledge, grunting. Ouch. Hot. How is a mountain this hot? He senses the heat source is past tangled vines. Tiptoeing forward, he peeks through. Found it. Wow, it's huge. The Gyugon is massive, curled up, and sound asleep. Perfect target. He pulls an arrow, thinking this is his ticket to that magic satchel. But just as he takes aim, he gasps. A voice from above mocks him. Are you stupid? Arrows won't even pierce its skin. Ranghae looks around, confused. Someone there? A green-skinned horned girl appears, lounging comfortably on a vine. Yes, there is, a mage who got here before you. She opens her eyes and smiles faintly. I'm sorry, but will you wait your turn? Oh, competition. Okay, another random scroll of the cute little family. This is relevant, I promise. Ranghae stands under the starry sky, utterly bewildered. He was alone moments ago, yet this mysterious girl is suddenly right behind him. She just casually asks if he's never seen an invisibility cloak, calling it a mage's essential gear. Ranghae is still clueless. Then, in a puff of smoke, she vanishes again. Ranghae whips his head around, totally flabbergasted. Whoa! She disappeared again? Suddenly she's back, but as a tiny buzzing bee creature, and she's not done with him. Aren't you a mage too? She buzzes, asking if he's just some rando after a quick buck. Ranghae, completely bugging out, starts flailing wildly to swat the tiny thing away. Another puff of smoke, and she's back to normal, telling him to chill. Just basic transformation magic, she claims. She introduces herself as Mochart Karan, a self-proclaimed specialist in transformations from Aruga. Ranghae is absolutely blown away. Are you really a mage? That's so cool. Not Ranghae fanboying mid-crisis. Mochart quickly shushes him, clamping a hand over his mouth and warning him not to wake the Gyugon. They peer over the rocks at the massive, still-sleeping beast below. Mochart lets out a sigh of relief. Good, it's out cold. She proudly takes credit, explaining she fed it a special sleeping plant she personally bred for this very moment. Mochart drops some lore, explaining the Gyugon is a descendant of an ancient gargoyle that guarded a demon's castle. It's one of the fiercest, toughest creatures out there. Oh, and it breathes fire. Ranghae is genuinely stunned. You know so much. Mochart just calls him an idiot for trying to hunt it without knowing a single thing. Ignoring her, Ranghae pulls an arrow, insisting he can't let her have this bird because he needs to capture it for something important. She taps her fingers on a rock, utterly unimpressed. You are impossible, she scoffs. If it was that easy, why the huge reward? She hops up, correcting him again. Also, it is definitely not a bird. Mochart tells him to just stay put and watch. She's about to put on a show. This girl's about to cook, and he's the audience. Ranghae is already wide-eyed with awe, and she hasn't even started. Mochart stretches confidently. I haven't done anything yet, she says. Why are you marveling already? Then Ranghae's face drains of color. It's awake, he whispers. Mochart glances back, utterly confused. What? Her confidence shatters as she comes face to face with a massive blood-red reptilian eye. Her eyes turn ghost white, her mind going completely blank with pure terror. The gargantuan Gyugon slowly rises, its monstrous form absolutely dwarfing the terrified little mage. But before we see how that plays out, let's rewind 2 hours earlier, to the desert village of Varita. Inside a quiet inn, someone is sleeping really well. A muscular, gray-skinned man is snoring away, utterly oblivious to the danger. Suddenly, his eyes snap open. There's a weapon pointed near his eye. Without a hint of fear, he lazily asks, Hey you, do you even know whom you awoke? He's surrounded by assassins. They know exactly who he is. Jose, the hitman. They're baffled he's sleeping so soundly while being hunted. Jose just lets out a massive yawn, completely unfazed by the death threats. He tells them to get lost, casually grabbing a bottle. I've sensed you a while ago already, he says. He pours a drink, boasting, if I want, I can chop off all your heads faster than I fill this cup. The assassins are furious at his sheer arrogance. Jose gives them a cold, deadly glare, but before things escalate, a woman's voice cuts through the tension, ordering everyone to stop. The assassins recognize her as Lady Mia. Mia steps forward, telling her men to back off. You can't handle him, she states flatly. Her subordinates reluctantly step aside as she walks past them, intimidated. Jose sips his drink, a slight smile playing on his lips. Finally, someone who knows something, he says. Mia apologizes for her men and gets straight to the point. She's here to offer him a job. She says she's heard he'll do anything for money and asks him to accompany her somewhere. Jose gives her a long, hard look. Before lunging forward with insane speed, he grabs Mia by the chin, forcing her to the ground as her men draw their swords in panic. He leans in close. What a plucky girl. I like you. His scarred arm flexes as he confirms the rumors. He'll take any job if the price is right, especially if the client is a beauty like you. Licks his lips menacingly. So, whom should I kill? Later, at a grand estate carved into a cliffside, Jose finally learns his target. He raises an eyebrow in disbelief. A Gyugon? His client confirms it, the one and only nuisance plaguing Varita. Jose can't believe it. He breaks into hysterical laughter. The Count of Varita came to see me late at night, just to kill one lousy creature? The client, Count Shiako, assures him it should be an easy feat for someone of his skill. The Count makes his offer, the reward for the Gyugon's head, a prestigious title of Silver Knight. The Count points out that becoming a Silver Knight is a great offer, especially since Jose is on the run from Bato. Jose nods, agreeing the Count is as generous as they say. "But I do not need the title," he says coolly. He makes a counter offer, double the reward, and give him Mia. Then he'll do it. Mia is absolutely shocked and appalled by the demand. Without a moment's hesitation, the Count simply says, "Fine." Mia protests as the Count clarifies she's his aide, not a servant. But if Jose wants her that badly, she's his. Jose seals the deal with a confident grin, promising to bring back the Gyugon's head before sunrise. He leaves, and the heavy doors slam shut behind him. The throne room falls into a tense, heavy silence. Back in the throne room, Mia is furious with the Count. "That's absurd," she protests. "How could you make an offer like that to a barbarian?" The Count tries to calm her down. "Don't worry, I have no intention of actually giving you to him," he says, just relieved the tense negotiation is over. That's not what she means. She points out there are plenty of other hunters. Jose, on the other hand, is a wanted fugitive who murdered a marshal. The Count's expression darkens. He reveals the real reason for his desperation. A powerful figure known as Bato is on his way. Mia is stunned. "Pardon? The King of the Woods is coming here?" The Count explains he received a secret letter ordering him to detain Jose, but his village simply doesn't have the military strength to do it. He sighs, remarking how convenient it is that the Gyugon, that annoying village nuisance, suddenly became so useful. Mia concedes that with Jose's skills, he might actually succeed in killing the beast. The Count leans back, a cunning look on his face. "I don't care either way. It would be a great gain for me if either of them dies." He figures the death of either the monster or the fugitive will bring enormous wealth to his village. For him, it's a total win-win. Alright, let's jump back to the mountain where Moshart is absolutely terrified, her hand trembling as she tries to psych herself up. "Stay calm. Don't panic. Maintain eye contact," she mutters, sweating bullets. She knows if she shows fear, the Gyugon will recognize her as prey and incinerate her on the spot. But her courage fails, her feet hesitate, and she trips, falling hard on her back. Tears in her eyes, she desperately screams, "So will you please help me?" Peeking over a rock, Ranghe casually asks, "Huh? Were you talking to me?" Moshart frantically yells back, "Yes. Don't just watch me. Help." Ranghe just scratches his head, totally confused. "But you said earlier to just watch." As the Gyugon sniffs her, she screams, "That was when it was asleep. I'll die. It'll eat me." The beast's colossal mouth opens wide, ready to swallow her whole. That mouth open like it's lunchtime? In a flash, Ranghe clenches his fist and leaps into action, delivering a brutal punch right to the Gyugon's jaw. Moshart can only stare in stunned silence as the massive creature reels back from that powerful blow. Ranghe lands, his expression now deadly serious. That face said playtime is officially done. But hold up. Random scroll coming through, and it looks like the perfect family evening. Meanwhile, back in Verita, Hardin is losing his mind, sprinting through the streets like a madman. He's basically having a full-blown crisis, regretting getting too comfy in his dad era and leaving Ranghe unsupervised. Dude's just praying the kid can keep a low profile. Good luck with that, my friend. Hardin finally skids to a halt at the town's edge, gasping for air, eyes locked on the stone mountain. Ranghe's definitely up there. Then, a shout rips through the night behind him. He whips around, totally caught off guard. Well, isn't this just peachy? It's the general store owner, and he's brought his personal fan club, a squad of armed guards. Shopkeeper dude is absolutely spitting mad, screaming about Hardin's betrayal after all his pity. He actually grabs Hardin by the collar, accusing him of jacking Bellatorio's relic. Hardin is genuinely clueless, trying to explain this is all some huge misunderstanding. Nope, guards aren't buying it. Swords drawn, they give him a simple choice. Come quietly or lose his head. Hardin just lets out a tired sigh. Clearly his day just went from bad to worse. But suddenly, a huge crash erupts. Everyone freezes. Hardin already knows exactly who's behind that noise. Back on the mountain, Ranghe delivers a massive slam right onto the Gyugon's back, kicking up a colossal dust cloud. He then bolts away from the stunned monster, sliding to a perfect dramatic stop. Ranghe yells, "Got it." Moshart, though, is just staring, utterly baffled. She can barely stutter out a question. "What in the world did you just do?" Ranghe just gives her a cheeky grin. "Magic. I'm a mage too, you know." "Yeah, about that got it part." The Gyugon starts to stir, shaking itself off and slowly rising back to its feet. Ranghe is absolutely floored it wasn't knocked out, while Moshart starts a full-on freakout. He's never seen anyone punch with magic before. But then Ranghe's eyes suddenly widen. The Gyugon unleashes a torrent of fire. Ranghe screams and tackles Moshart, slamming them both to the ground just in the nick of time. Moshart immediately starts yelling at him for his rough tackle, complaining about her face. But then she spots the scorched earth behind them, realizing she was this close to being Gyugon barbecue. No time for complaints though. Ranghei's already back on the offensive, hopping right back onto the Gyugon's neck. He pulls back his bow, firing a special arrow, but the Gyugon is too fast, deflecting it with a powerful tail swipe. He lands, totally frustrated, muttering about losing his shot. He looks up and boom, the monster is already on him, claws extended. He barely dodges a massive stomp that absolutely cracks the ground. Before he can recover, its tail whips around, slamming him to the ground. Bro, this thing is just way too fast. Just as it's about to finish him, Moshart leaps onto his shoulders. Talk about a clutch play. With a puff of smoke, she uses her transformation magic, turning into a giant fluffy escape ball that bounces them away to safety. They bounce right into a crater, landing hard. Both are sprawled on the ground, dizzy. Ranghei, ever the optimist, is just thankful for the lucky crater landing. Moshart, however, is still loudly moaning about her face hitting the ground again. He tries to get her attention, but she just shushes him, insisting they wait for the coast to clear. But then Ranghei spots something incredible. 3 massive eggs. Moshart sees them and instantly recognizes what they are. Bro said boss fight and got Easter eggs instead. Ranghei reaches out to touch an egg, sending Moshart into a full panic. But for Ranghei, it all just clicks. Outside, the Gyugon lets out a furious roar, blasting the entire area with another devastating wave of fire. The explosion absolutely rocks their hiding spot. The beast roars again. Ranghei gets to his feet. Moshart tries to stop him, but he completely ignores her pleas to stay put. Ranghei says they should call off the hunt, saying the Gyugon isn't evil. The boy explains it was just a mother protecting her eggs all along. Classic trope. Then, in a move that completely floors Moshart, he picks up one of the giant eggs and yells for the Gyugon to come get him. Is this boy on a suicide mission? And it works. The monster turns its glowing red eyes and flies right toward them. Massive Gyugon lands with a heavy thud, kicking up dust as it towers over Ranghei, its terrifying red eyes fixed on the egg he's holding. But instead of fighting, Ranghei actually tries to reason with it. I won't touch your eggs, so don't worry, he says, gently placing it back down. He admits he just wanted the magic satchel, but now he's asking it to leave once its babies hatch, because its intense heat is hurting the village. Moshart, now a fly, just cannot believe what she's seeing. Hey, you fool, she thinks. Do you actually think it understands you? The Gyugon lets out a massive roar, but then surprisingly seems to calm down, panting as it looks at the boy. Ranghei sees his chance and offers a sincere apology. I'm really sorry for hitting you before. I mean it. For a brief moment, it actually looks like he got through to the creature. Peace achieved, right? But in a flash, something whips through the air with a sickening, brutal slice. Ranghei's eyes widen in absolute horror as the Gyugon's massive head is severed clean from its neck. He can only watch, utterly stunned, as the decapitated head crashes heavily to the ground. He turns, and through the rocky terrain, he sees footsteps approaching. It's the hitman, Jose. What's this? He grunts. Someone got here before me. But as he casually lifts his massive, blood-drenched sword, it's painfully clear who the killer is. Jose stares Ranghei down, a cold question in his voice. Who are you? The way he asked, you know he's not asking twice. But in the scroll, everything's perfect. A happy day at the zoo. Back to Ranghei, he can only stare, dumbfounded, as the hitman stands casually over the Gyugon's corpse. Jose takes a step forward, a superior glint in his eye. What's the big deal, kid? You snooze, you lose. Should have been faster. He then launches into a lecture, all about the law of the jungle. Basically, if you're slow or weak, you deserve to lose. Bro really said survival of the fittest, but make it personal. Jose scoffs, calling the villagers pathetic for struggling months against this thing. Real empathic guy, this Jose. He even stomps on the Gyugon's severed head, grumbling that it's way bigger than he thought. What a pain, he whines, to carry this down the mountain. Then comes the audacity. He orders Ranghei to carry the massive head down for him, offering a measly 50,000 stars. Like, seriously, bro? But Ranghei doesn't even respond. Instead, he quietly lifts his hands, closing his eyes in silent prayer. Jose is obviously confused, but Ranghei calmly explains his belief. If you take a life, you must sincerely apologize and pray for its soul. What a contrast, right? Jay just stares, then points his blood-soaked sword at Ranghei. Quit babbling, kid, he snarls. This isn't an offer. I'm saving your life. Get it? Ranghei is completely unfazed. Still, he states, pointing to the massive eggs nearby. You shouldn't have killed her. You just killed the mother of these unborn babies. Jose glances at the eggs, a cruel glint flashing in his eyes. Oh, he says, a twisted smile forming. Do you mean these? He then raises his massive blade. The annoying creature's babies? Nah. I'll just make sure they're never born. With a sickening thwack, he brings the sword down, shattering the first egg. Ranghei watches, absolutely horrified. He swings again, musing about how misfortune can sometimes lead to better results. Bro is seriously messed up. He declares these unborn creatures would only be nuisances anyway, so it's better they die now. Just peak villain behavior. But this time, his swing is stopped dead. Ranghei's small hand has somehow caught the flat of the blade. Our boy glares up at him, his voice dropping to an icy whisper. You are a very bad person. Meanwhile, back in Verita, the sky rumbles ominously and rain begins to fall. Hardin stands over a pile of unconscious guards, scratching his head. "Oh dear," he says sheepishly. "I'm sorry for hitting you. Didn't mean to." Back on the mountain, Jose is absolutely stunned. He grabbed it, he gasps. The friar's legendary sword that cuts shadows with his bare hand? Ranghe calls out, "Moshart, are you there?" In a puff of smoke, she reappears, landing right on top of the last surviving egg. She sighs, already sweating nervously. "I have a very, very bad feeling about this whole situation," she mutters. "We feel you, Moshart." Jose demands to know who she is, but they just ignore him. Ranghe tells Moshart to look after the eggs. Ranghe clenches his fist, his eyes flaring a dangerous gold. "And you," he tells the hitman, his voice low and menacing, "you need to be taught a serious lesson." Before Jose can even react, Ranghe slams a fist straight into his stomach, sending the much larger man flying across the rocky terrain with a massive crash. Jose coughs, painfully pushing himself up from the rubble. "You're not an ordinary human, are you?" he rasps, finally getting it. Ranghe is already a blur, closing the distance between them in an instant. Jose scrambles to his feet, a grim look hardening his face. "Sorry, kid, but neither am I," he snarls. "I'm not exactly ordinary either." He flexes his muscles, whips his sword from the ground, and dashes forward, ready to meet the attack head-on. As they clash, the hitman suddenly realizes he's been totally played by Count Chiako. Hiring him for just one creature always felt suspicious. He's absolutely furious that the Count would use a kid like Ranghe just to keep him occupied. "How dare he underestimate me like this?" he roars. The two trade powerful blows, their insane speed literally shaking the ground. Jose roars, "Don't underestimate me. I survived Bato's woods, kid." With a maddened grin, he screams at the top of his lungs, "I will pulverize you." He swings his massive sword, but Ranghe is just gone. Jose is utterly bewildered. Suddenly, Ranghe reappears and lands another brutal punch, sending the hitman flying back again. The rumbling from their epic battle even reaches Count Chiako's palace. He grunts in his sleep. "Annoying bastard," he mutters. "Must he be so loud?" Suddenly, a flash of light reveals Lady Mia standing right in his bedroom. The Count sits up, startled. "Mia?" he stutters. "What are you doing here at this hour?" Mia's expression is dark. "I think things are taking a bad turn," she states. "Wouldn't it be better to be sure, just in case?" Her eyes are glowing an ominous red. Back on the mountain, the fight rages on. Jose, now bleeding and battered, struggles to block Ranghe's relentless barrage of punches with his sword. Jose just laughs, still completely underestimating the kid. He's absolutely positive his unbreakable magical sword can't be broken. Oh, sweet summer child. But Ranghe has other ideas. With a single chilling word, he issues a command. "Break." And with one punch, the unbreakable sword cracks and shatters into a million tiny pieces. Jose is left absolutely speechless. "How do you like them apples, bro?" But Ranghe isn't finished, not even close. "Destroy and smack down," he commands, his voice resonating with power. He grabs Jose by the throat and slams him into the ground with bone-shattering, earth-shaking force. That impact definitely shifted the local geography. The impact creates a massive crater, shaking the very earth beneath them. Seriously, that was a heavy hit. Jose can barely even groan, completely wrecked and defeated from that devastating attack. He's toast. Standing over him, Ranghe's fist glows with deadly energy as he utters a final, chilling command. "Die and cease to exist." But just as he's about to strike, a hand suddenly grabs his wrist and a voice shouts, "Enough!" The interruption snaps Ranghe out of his blind rage and he looks up, confusion replacing the fury in his eyes. It's Hardin looking down at Ranghe. He tells him he's done enough, stopping him before he goes too far. In the scroll, the little girl's growing up fast. It's her first bike ride, people. Meanwhile, far from Hardin's peacemaking, the sounds of steel ring out from Tutelikin's Pigelt castle. Inside, a fiery young woman spars intensely, fuming about her father summoning mages to the castle. Her opponent, Mino, the captain of the knights, calmly tries to explain that mages relay the will of God. He reminds her they're here to bless her future, as she's next in line to be empress. "Like hell," Ophelia shouts, clearly not buying it. She rants that mages are just humans with parlor tricks acting way too high and mighty. According to her, mages are the absolute worst. But Mino effortlessly disarms her, sending her sword clattering away. He scolds her for crude language and lack of focus, then declares this his 4,785th win. When she demands a rematch, he calls it a day, reminding her of her upcoming birthday banquet. Athalia yells that you can't just stop after you win. Mino just shrugs, asking why an imperial princess is so obsessed with sword fighting anyway. She snaps back that it's not obsession, it's faith. Her sword is the only thing she trusts, not some invisible god or magic. Mino tells her she's mistaken. He grabs her sword's blade, saying it's not the real weapon. He declares that once she becomes empress, he will be her sword, her personal protector. Ophelia is left completely speechless. Bro just dropped the ultimate "I got you" line. Ophelia's tone softens. She points out this will be the last time they can chat casually as childhood friends. She sadly accepts the change, saying, "I am aware, Your Imperial Highness." "As long as you know," she replies, turning her back to walk away. He tells her to look forward to her birthday present, claiming he's prepared something she'll absolutely love. He calls it the last gift he'll give her as her childhood friend. The wording is sweet, but the vibes are suspicious. Ophelia stops in her tracks. "I'm not interested," she says flatly, without even looking back. She walks off, muttering, "You don't even know what I like," leaving a clearly dejected Mino behind. That walk-off had main character heartbreak energy. Elsewhere, the Emperor of Tutalakan is interrupted by an attendant. The attendant announces that Kurth Edvar, a magician from Mobiante, has arrived. The Emperor greets him with a wide smile, honored that the #1 magician is here to visit. He's acting like a celebrity just pulled up. Edvar kneels politely, explaining that Tutalakan has been the mage's ally for generations, so his visit was only natural. The Emperor is pleased and tells him to rise, but admits he's a little hurt that Mojin didn't come herself. He muses about his daughter turning 19, disturbed by the weight of the throne she's about to bear. The Emperor places a comforting hand on Edvar's shoulder as Edvar tells him to understand why his master couldn't attend due to constant conflicts. Switching gears, the Emperor tells Edvar he's just in time for his daughter's birthday banquet. He calls it the last event he can enjoy as her father before her coronation. He invites the mage to enjoy the banquet, but Edvar's expression is anything but joyful. A weird expression etches on his serious face as he says, "I cannot wait, uh-oh." Meanwhile, in her room, Princess Ophelia is having an outfit crisis. "You're kidding, right? I don't think I can do this." Her handmaiden Emma insists she looks pretty, but Ophelia isn't buying it. She complains a fancy dress doesn't suit someone who's been riding horses since 6 and wielding a sword since 4. She's convinced that jerk Mino gave her the dress just to screw with her. "Regardless," she declares, "I will not step foot outside in that embarrassing outfit." She wants to wear her usual clothes, but Emma says it's too late. Ophelia's solution? "I just won't wear a dress then." Emma begs her to do it just this once, reminding her of the high officials and international celebrities attending. She can't show up looking like a guy. The pressure is giving red carpet panic. Ophelia blushes, admitting that's true, but she buries her face in her hands. The real reason comes out. Seeing Mino dressed like that would be totally humiliating. Downstairs, the banquet is in full swing, with music playing and guests dancing. Nobles mingle and flirt, while the Emperor sits on his throne. Mino stands guard in full armor, looking grim. Outside, Edvar sits on a garden bench, soon joined by the winged sylphid Ru. He remarks it's quite peaceful for a nation that's been at war for centuries. Ru corrects him, not real wars, just suppressing rebellions. A lot of blood was shed to establish this nation. She admits she's not certain if what they're doing is right. Edvar turns to her. "Are you afraid?" "I thought sylphids do not feel fear." "How could I not be afraid?" she replies. "No one on this land doesn't fear the demon's resurrection." Edvar doesn't understand. He argues humans, not the demon, led their species to ruin. Mages saved them from extinction. Ro agrees, affirming her complete loyalty to the seraph Mojin for her grace. Edvar says the same goes for him. That's why he plans to bear the burden Mojin can't. He stares into the night sky, claiming saving the envious, ambitious human race was the great grand mage Rangdir Kiesel's only mistake. Edvar's resolve is absolute. Gathering Perseida's scattered seal stones is the only way to right the world's wrongs, he believes. Meanwhile, Princess Ophelia stands ready for the banquet, her heart pounding. Anticipation or just nerves? She takes a deep breath, but Emma sees right through it, playfully teasing her about being nervous. Ophelia gets flustered, stammering that of course she's not nervous. She warns, "Mino, don't you dare tease me." With one last muttered threat, she stands before the grand doors as Emma opens them to the banquet hall. Cutting back to Edvar, a flash of a bloody hand appears as Ru's voice rings out, reminding him of his dark destiny. Edvar doesn't even flinch. He says, "That is what I want." Bro is really committing to the villain arc. Back at the castle, the grand doors swing open, revealing a horrifying massacre. The entire banquet hall is littered with bodies. They stand frozen in shock, Emma covering her mouth in horror. Guards, their swords shattered, lie among the slain, and on the throne sits her father, the Emperor, brutally impaled. Yikes. Even Mino, the captain of the Royal Knights, lies dead and mutilated on the floor. Plot twist no one saw coming, right? As the horrifying truth sinks in, a storm begins to brew outside the castle walls. Meanwhile, the little girl in the scroll celebrates her 7th birthday. Alright, speaking of destruction, let's rewind. Long, long ago, 6 magical stones sealed away the demon of destruction. These bad boys were entrusted to some seriously powerful guardians. 3 went to the most powerful kingdoms, for safekeeping. The other 3, protected by 3 great sages, and the mage's apprentice. Plot twist, that's 4 guardians, but who's counting? But like all good things, that piece eventually shattered. Duh. History always repeats itself, right? Humanity just kind of forgot why they needed those stones in the first place. Great mages sacrifice? Yeah, completely off the public's radar. Humans, being humans, went back to fighting, always wanting more, more, more. Greed, arrogance, laziness, pick your poison, they'd kill for any of it. Sure, the original demon was gone, but humans were busy birthing a whole new demon, fear, in everyone's hearts. Meanwhile, in a desolate wasteland, Hardin rides with a hooded Mojin. He's like, see, told ya, humans never change. He reminds her she's the one who changed, and that's why she made mages stay out of human wars. Hardin, ever the grim one, mutters, maybe Perseidus' wrath was just humanity getting what they deserved. Mojin cuts him off sharp. Don't even say that name, bro. Hardin quickly apologizes, but she's not having it. I didn't teach you magic for this nonsense. Then she pulls back her hood, revealing her face. But first, she dismounts, stepping onto dusty ground, staring at a ruined village. Yikes. Hardin asks what's up. Mojin just quietly observes the sheer destruction. She senses a deep hatred born from loss. Why is it still here even after everyone's dead? Suddenly her eyes dart. Movement in the shadows. Uh-oh. A figure screams, lunging from an alley with a sharpened stake. It's a young, blonde-haired Kurth Edvar, pure fury on his face, charging forward. He stabs Mojin. Hardin cries out in horror. Flashback time. This is Kurth Edvar, and his mom is hiding him under the floorboards. She begs him, don't make a sound, don't come out. No matter what. Her eyes are desperate and tearful. She asks if he understands. This is heartbreaking. That's his last memory of his mom before the floorboards creak shut, plunging him into darkness. Wars were everywhere. Outside, armed men with torches invade his village. Total chaos. Horror sweeps through the village. The boy hides, eyes shut, ears covered. Pure terror. Blames himself, prays and curses time itself. The boy is just trembling, alone in the dark. After what felt like forever, the hatch creaks open. The boy crawls out, barely escaping that dark hole. He emerges into a world of pure desolation. Nothing but death here. Survival mode kicks in. Grim determination hardens his young face, but his focus shatters. His stomach growls. Intense starvation, my friend. His eyes frantically scan the ground. He spots something round, dirty. He chomps on one, desperate for any food. A rustle makes him freeze. Two large, menacing crows. Before he can eat, he sees his mother's turquoise necklace in the dirt. Grief hits him like a truck. He looks up at the horrible truth. Corpses are everywhere, pecked by crows. His mother is among them. Brutal. The realization, a physical blow, stomping on his little heart. Shock drains his face. Tears roll down, crushing stuff. Naturally, endless hostility is born in his heart. This kid is getting an origin story, y'all. Blood drips from the stake young Edvar plunged into Mojin's stomach. Yikes. He hesitates, trembling. Is it regret? With a furious roar, Hardin as a beast slams the boy to the ground. Get him, champ. Beast pins screaming Edvar, but Mojin shouts, Hardin, stop that. Mojin calmly tells the beast to back off. He's just afraid. The mage, a respected seraph, looks at the kid who just stabbed her. She says, so understanding, he's having a nightmare. She kneels down to his level. No fear, no anger. Monstrous Hardin stands guard. Despite the wound, Mojin speaks gently. Calm down, she says, seeing the sorrow and rage in his eyes. In that moment, the boy sees his mother reflected in her kind eyes. Mojin pulls him into a hug, comforting his trembling form. Mother figure unlocked. She tells him death is just nature's rule. Nothing to be sad or angry about. Easy for her to say, right? Then she offers something. Forget fear, erase rage, and she'll teach him magic. Deal? And just like that, their relationship, born from pure sympathy, begins. Mojin, the boy, and transformed Hardin walk away from the ruins. Years later, the scene shifts. Princess Othelia is now bound by fleshy tendrils. An adult Edvar taunts her about despair. He tells her everything she loved is ash. She must be miserable. Othelia trembles, tears streaming down her face. That's not cooking. That's arson with words. He coldly encourages her. Cry. Be angry. That's why I kept you alive. Fueled by pure hatred, Othelia glares back, bloodshot eyes blazing. I will never forgive you, even after I die. Edvar picks up a crown. Good, he says, placing it on her head. I need your intense, hostile, raw rage. He cups her face, dramatically declaring her the new Empress of Tutalakan. Talk about a forced promotion. He forces her head up, revealing his true motive. The malice in your heart will awake the demon's head. Oh, he's building a superweapon with her feelings. Meanwhile, in the scroll, things aren't doing so well either, as the little family is dealt a tremendous loss. So, about that malice in his heart, turns out it has roots. We flash back to a young Edvar pleading at a humble grave. Tears streaming, he begs Mojin to bring his mother back, even offering his own life in exchange. Desperate much? He collapses, sobbing. Pure, raw grief. Mojin, ever the calm one, explains life and death are a divine flow. Fate, basically. Messing with fate? That's a huge no-go, she says. Way worse than just some healing magic. She understands his pain, but duty calls, kid. Can't let personal feelings warp fate, she says. Mages gotta ditch emotions for a reason. But then Edvar hits her with a killer question. But isn't that what you did? Mojin's eyes nearly pop out. She's floored. Edvar's face turns into a literal horror show as he screams she'd already betrayed her magic for destruction. Thump. Mojin's eyes snap open. It's just a nightmare. She's in bed, clutching her chest, her heart pounding like a drum solo. She bolts upright, panting, trying to shake off that bad juju. Alone in the dark, she lets out a long sigh, trying to calm her inner race car. Storm rages outside, lightning briefly flashing the room. Then it hits her. With a troubled gaze, she whispers the name that haunts her, Edvar. Meanwhile, over at sunrise, Count Chiako and his crew roll up to a desolate, smoking wasteland. Count's eyes glow ominous red. He's surveying a battle zone. His men find Jose unconscious in the dirt. Yikes. A medic checks him. He's barely alive. Good thing he's a tough therianthrope, a non-human animal. A soldier reports they burned the Gyugon's corpse and are taking its head to the palace per orders. Count Chiako orders his men to lock Jose in the dungeon. As they prep to move Jose, the medic marvels at his strength. Count Chiako holds up the shattered sword. The Gyugon couldn't have done this, he muses. This sword? It's special. It holds a map fragment to the demon's tail. No way a magical beast broke it. He gulps, sensing strange magic. What could have shattered this legendary blade? Looking at the massive crater, he feels it. Pure, unadulterated murderous intent. Uh-oh. Elsewhere, Hardin is giving a serious lecture. Murderous intent, he explains, is different from killing for survival. He sighs. Not a lesson he ever wanted to teach. A nervous voice interrupts. Gramps? It's Moshart, transformed into a fluffy flying creature. She apologetically points out Ranghe passed out ages ago. Ranghe has been out cold since they fled the village. Big oof. Hardin isn't surprised. Ranghe probably used all his energy starving. Moshart agrees she's in the same boat. Transformation only lasts 30 minutes, she says. High-level magic is tiring. Hardin tells her to chill. He asks her to land by a cliff. She agrees, swooping down. They land by a river. Exhausted, Moshart immediately chugs water. Pure bliss. She offers purified water to Hardin. Good for energy, she says. Hardin thanks her, feeling bad he was chased as a thief and she's been a massive help. Moshart waves it off. She wasn't planning on sticking around anyway. Ranghe snores away. His saliva is working overtime as a side character. Meanwhile, Moshart adds, they helped her too, you know? Then boom, here comes a bombshell. I actually did steal. She holds up the very satchel Hardin was accused of taking. He does a classic spit take. Hardin stares, utterly stunned. So it was you. You stole the satchel. She giggles. I just borrowed it. Just for her skill-honing transformation trip. Perfect for catching and communing with a Gyugon, she figured. Communing with magical creatures is key, she explains. Hardin just thinks, wow, this girl talks a lot. Hardin asks why she needs more training. She's already skilled. Her answer? She wants to be a magician. Her people, the Iriga, are transformation masters, but none have become magicians or magic agents. She declares her goal is to crash the prejudice against refugees. You go, girl. Suddenly, Hardin cannonballs into the river, startling our girl Moshart. Was that so upsetting you hopped away? She asks, completely missing the point. But Hardin resurfaces. He's now a massive, four-legged dolken, with a fish in his mouth. He tells a stunned Moshart that Ranghe is a big eater, so the boy needs food when he wakes. Moshart is shook. How are you a dolken? They're extinct. Moshart is in full disbelief mode. Hardin scoffs. Extinct? I'm old, but very much alive. Then he casually drops. He was a Seraph's familiar. It clicks. He didn't transform into a dolken. He is one. Hardin asks if it's really that shocking. Yes, Gramps, it is. She stammers, piecing it together. A Seraph's familiar. A dolkan. Finally, she screams, are you the legendary Hardin? The way she said that, you know she's shook. This girl's ecstatic. The legendary Hardin. Hardin himself just flinches, clearly not loving the hero worship. Hardin, in full beast mode, lets out a menacing growl. This ain't good. Dashes past a startled Moshart. What's wrong? Was I not supposed to know that? She yells. Hardin halts, warning her to stay back. His senses are on fire. I sense a murderous spirit, he growls. Murderous spirit detected. Yikes, with a capital Y. Moshart is utterly baffled, sweating nervously. Hardin's warning proves true. 4 cloaked figures appear in the distance, heading their way. Up close, this mysterious group is a strange and formidable party. Looks like trouble's brewing. A quick peek at the scroll reveals the dad and the little girl visiting her mother's grave. Man, that is so sad. Right on cue, those 4 cloaked figures blaze through the woods like they're late for a party. Among them is Luha, a horned girl, already stressing because someone named Beto is lagging behind. Bahunya, the one with rabbit ears, is chilling. She says the rain already washed away the scent of their target, some jerk, apparently. Their fearless leader, Yonu, tells them to focus. Their mission, retrieve the friar's sword. Sounds important. Big guy Dudu, however, is not impressed. He's muttering that Yonu only acts like a leader because of his good nose. Suddenly, Yonu screeches to a halt, stopping the entire crew dead in their tracks. He kneels down, sifting through the dirt. He's found something, the trace of a magical creature. Dudu laughs it off. What's the big deal about a creature? But Yonu knows this ain't ordinary. He says the magic isn't just a mage's, it's a magic agent. And that, my friends, is a whole other level. The others are stunned, and it gets worse. Yonu smells Chose's blood mixed in. Dudu can't process it. Are you saying that the hitman who killed Solo was taken out by some basic magical creature? Yonu explains the scent is faint for another chilling reason. His eyes narrow. It has her. Nearby, Mochard is absolutely losing it, hiding and sweating bullets. She recognizes these guys. The 5 swordsmen? Why are they here? These folks are the feared marshals of the woods, the 5 swordsmen. Down the path, Hardin, in his Dolkan form, stands his ground. He realizes these aren't just rando trackers, they're the real deal. Hardin feels their murderous intent. Yonu, meanwhile, gets a grim feeling. We may lose even if we give everything we've got. Yikes. Yonu quickly forms a plan. He and Hunya will take the front. Luha's job. Grab Moshart. But before he can finish, Dudu pulls a Leroy Jenkins and barrels past. He slams into the ground in front of Hardin, but the Dolkan dodges effortlessly. At the same time, Luha activates a device. A magical whip flies out, binding Mochart. The whip yanks Mochart through the air, away from Hardin. I have Lady Karen, Luha shouts. Hardin realizes Mochart was their target all along. Dudu's voice snaps him back to reality. Where are you looking? Dudu crashes into Hardin, but Hardin immediately sinks his teeth into the big man's head. Ouch. With a powerful spin, he hurls Dudu through the air, sending him crashing into the trees with enough force to shatter the ground. Talk about a bad day. Hardin stands ready, his wounded leg now bandaged. Then, a sneak attack. Hunya is already there, blocking his path with her sword drawn. She's quick. She knows what he is. Dolkans are the fastest magical creatures on land, correct? But don't bother running after them. She explains that Luha is too fast, and even if he goes after them, they have not intention of letting him pass. Hardin's eyes glow as a voice rings out, then I'll have to give it my all as well. The swordsmen are stunned. It can speak? Hardin's body begins to transform, his muscles bulging. I can do many other things as well, he growls. Uh-oh. With that, he transforms into a massive bipedal beast. Hunya can't believe her eyes. A magical creature that's mastered power-up magic? That's pretty wild even for this world. Just then a kid's voice pipes up right behind Hunya. What's going on? Who are you people? A chill runs down her spine. Mine too, honestly. She spins around, stunned, but Ranghe just looks confused. He went down for a nap and missed all the action. Hunya's not here for the small talk. She attacks, but Ranghe stops her blade with no effort at all. Hunya freezes, a sweat drop on her face. Ranghe just casually tells her off for being reckless with her sword. Then he notices Hardin. Huh? Hardin, are you fighting when you told me not to? And you used magic too. Hardin? Yonu puts it all together and his soul literally leaves his body. Meanwhile, Luha is practically dragging a kicking and screaming Mochart away, promising to keep her safe. Mochart insists she wasn't brainwashed and tries to explain that the grandpa isn't what they think he is, but Luha isn't listening. Typical. As Luha sprints away with Mochart, a voice calls out, asking where she's rushing off to. She slams on the brakes, screeching to a sudden halt and sending Mochart flying. Oof, that faceplant. Furious, Mochart yells, "You punk! You can't stop so suddenly like that." She looks up to see a massive green-skinned figure blocking their path. She recognizes him instantly. The giant man, who looks like a buff, antlered ogre, crouches down. Mochart, he asks. She can only stare in disbelief. Dad? It's scroll time, folks. And in this one, it's a lazy summer night outside with the dad singing and the daughter reading. Hardin's brain cells finally connect. Ah, so that's why Mochart seems so familiar. She's literally her dad's mini-me, a dead ringer for Bato. He then turns to the marshals, calm as ever. He gets it. They were just doing their job, chasing down their colleague's supposed killer. Hardin tells them to chill out. It's all good. They can look up now. Yonu and Hunya bow their heads low, apologizing for being kinda rude. Hardin waves them off. No biggie. He says their judgment was sound, and hey, at least no one's seriously hurt. No one was hurt? Dudu instantly fires back. Bro got a bite on the neck and his back's all bruised up. Hardin just laughs. Why is he complaining about a little bite from an old animal? Dudu then asks how he even knew they were the marshals of the woods. Hardin points out the obvious. They're literally covered in Vorvo's leaves. He explains his old master planted that very spirit in these woods way back when. He suggests they go tell Luha, who totally fled, that he's not the enemy, But just as he says that, Yonu chimes in. Speaking of which, here they come. Suddenly, a massive, ground-shaking thud echoes through the forest. Birds scatter everywhere. It's Beto, the absolute unit of a man, Bak Erga Karan, the fourth Beto of the woods, and perched on his shoulder is little-horned Luha. Hardin stands, surprised. Bak, he exclaims. Wow, the little boy of the woods has definitely leveled up. Bateau lets out a booming laugh. Hardin, my man, long time no see, you haven't changed a bit. Then he casually holds up a tiny Moshart by her hood. He heard she was a burden. Hardin quickly corrects him. She was actually a big help. Bato reveals Mojan sent him a revelation this morning. She foresaw their little reunion. Mojan's name completely throws Hardin off. Just then, Ranghe shouts for him from the riverbank. He's holding up two massive fish, complaining he's starving. Can he eat these, please? While talking to Moshart, he suddenly notices even more new faces have arrived. Mojan was worried about the kid Hardin was with, Bato says. He eyes Ranghe, then the realization hits. That must be him. Later, Ranghe sets up a campfire, ready to cook, but oops, he can't remember the fire's starting spell. Yonu steps in, muttering the words, burn up, and effortlessly blows a small flame into existence. Skills. The campfire roars to life instantly. Oh, it worked, Ranghe says, genuinely impressed. Ranghe thanks him, asking if he's a mage. Yonu clarifies he just borrows power from his trusty sword spirit. Elsewhere, Moshart is having a moment on a cliffside, crying with Hunya standing nearby. She sobs. She had no idea her friend Sola died when she left the woods to find her. Hunya sits down, comforting her. Don't blame yourself. Sola died doing her martial duty. Hunya tells Moshart she's just thankful Moshart is safe. Sola would want that too. Meanwhile, another marshal asks Dudu about his back. It's fine, he says, just a bit stiff. Hunya already patched him up. Then she asks why he sped off solo. Dudu grumbles that he just didn't want Yonu to beat him to it. He puffs out his chest. I'm way stronger than that punk. His companion just gives him a look of pure pity. Back with Bato and Hardin, Bato wonders, could a demon's lair popping up in Tutalikan be Edvar's handiwork? They can't be sure, Bato explains. The messenger Ru is missing. That's probably why the Seraph summoned magicians from everywhere. He's heard Hardin is headed to Mobiante, so Bato offers to personally escort him. Hardin questions this. Who's gonna lead the woods while you're gone, big guy? Bato assures him. He has trustworthy people, blessed by Vorvo, who have more integrity than their awkwardness lets on. He promises the woods will be perfectly safe under their watch. With that settled, the whole gang gathers for a well-deserved meal of roasted fish around the campfire. Meanwhile, in a dark stone dungeon, the hitman Shose's eyes snap wide open. Uh-oh. A mysterious figure tells him he woke up just in time. They have many questions for him. Jose grunts, confused, then sees the shackles. What have you done to me? He screams. He struggles, screaming at Count Chiako. Did Bato put them up to this? A bald dude with a goatee steps into view. Count? He asks, amused. Oh, you must see me as the Count. Then the man's face blurs. It morphs into a completely different person. Whoa, plot twist. He asks Jose if he recognizes this face. The guy who hired him to attack the marshals 6 months ago. Jose's eyes widen in terror. The face shifts again, now Lady Mia. Is this more familiar? The shapeshifter taunts. Double plot twist. Jose panics, screaming, What are you? What do you want from me? Valid questions, my friend. The shapeshifter says she lost her original face ages ago. All she remembers now is her mission. She leans over him. My turn, she purrs. She wants to know who really woke Friar's sword. Why did long-lost magic just show up on Stone Mountain? Her eyes are intense, folks. Trembling, Jose whispers in horror. Are you the red-eyed witch, Medusa? Medusa's red eyes glow. You don't have to answer, she purrs. Oh, this ain't good. I can simply take your soul and body and check your memories myself. Yikes. Jose begs her to stop, but it's too late. His body cracks, turning to solid stone. Goosebumps, folks. In moments, only a petrified corpse remains on the slab. Jose is no more. Far away, Medusa, now in a hooded disguise, rides a beast through a canyon. She laments losing her pet Jugon, but she's not risking being caught by Beto. She reflects on Jose. She thought he was just a simple punk. Turns out he had some very interesting memories. That night, under a starry sky, Bak yells at his daughter, Moshart, why are you tagging along? I told you to go back to the woods. Moshart clarifies she's only here because it's Mobiante. She has to go. Bak and Moshart, what a duo. Meanwhile, Ranghe is losing his mind over his giant flying furball ride. Moshart's reason for going to Mobiante. to show the Seraph her totally awesome mage skills. But Ranghe knows what's up. You just don't want to be apart from your dad, do you? A few minutes later, Ranghe is sporting a brand new bump on his head. Hardin comments that Mochart is just as stubborn as Bach as a child. Bato, in giant bird form, is not having it. I think there's something wrong with your memory. You're saying strange things. Grumpy Ride tells them to hold on tight, because it's now full speed ahead until Mobiante. No brakes on this hype train. In Verita, the remaining 5 swordsmen investigate a strange disturbance at Count Chiako's castle. The guard explains the count was fine yesterday, but this morning he was a stone statue. Yikes! Yonu asks about intruders, but the guard says no one. Then he drops a bombshell. It wasn't just the count. The guard leads them into the creepy castle dungeons. Explains they'd locked up a guy found passed out after the Gugon incident. The guy had gnarly injuries but was alive. Plus, they were told to hand him over to Yonu's crew when they showed up. Yonu instantly recognizes the petrified man. It's the infamous hitman Jose. The guard adds that the count's safe was empty. Definitely a planned magic attack, right? Hunya asks about the count's missing aide, Mia. The guard pulls out a scroll with her portrait. He's worried she was kidnapped. But when Yonu opens the scroll, he gives the guard a hard look. Are you sure this is Mia? He asks. The drawing is completely blank. Yonu hands the scroll back, saying they'll investigate, then turns to leave. Excuse me, the guard calls to them. Do you think Lady Mia was involved? Because apparently, Lady Mia was even more popular than the Count. He's adamant she would never do such a thing, like he was brainwashed or something. Meanwhile, the swordsmen discuss the case. Yonu confirms Bato was right, as usual. This was Medusa's work. Hijacking memories and bodies is her MO, and that blank drawing of Mia proves it. Dudu lays it all out. Medusa hired Jose to steal Friar's sword. That sword holds Perseidus' tail. When Bato showed up, she spelled the village and bailed. Hunya asks what to do. Dudu insists they pursue her. She's got the demon's tail after all. Yonu takes command. They can't lose Friar's sword, but first, Dudu and Hunya are heading back to guard the woods. Luha is shocked. Yonu tells Dudu to chill, explaining he and Luha have the mobility for the chase. Dudu is not having it. Screw qualifications, he snarls, demanding Yonu's real reasons. Classic Dudu. Luha sides with Yonu. With Bato gone, the woods need guarding. Hunya also agrees with the plan. She wisely points out it's foolish to chase someone who wants to kill them. Exactly. Then why am I excluded from this dangerous mission? Yonu reveals another, more important reason Dudu is benched. Taking a bite, Yonu says, as you say, you're the strongest one here. Dudu is stunned silent. His ego is showing. Yonu lays it on thick. You're the only one who can fill in for Bato. High praise, bro. Completely flattered, Dudu crosses his arms. If that's how you feel, I'll respect your opinion. Hook, line, and sinker. Elsewhere, a shopkeeper tries to sell a unique golden goblet. He's clearly desperate. Explains it's a one-of-a-kind, made by Melon Bellatorio for the great mage Rungder Kessel. His wife doesn't care who made it, she just wants to know the price of the pretty goblet. The shopkeeper names his price 500,000 stars. The couple immediately balks. Ouch. Calling it ridiculous, the woman storms out. No way she's paying that for a souvenir. The shopkeeper desperately tries to haggle, dropping the price, but it's too late. Fumbled the bag, my friend. Suddenly, the door slams open. It's Dudu. Yo, long time no see, Hunter man, he says, recognizing the shopkeeper. He gives a confident grin. I need some items, and you owe me a debt from way back. The shopkeeper starts sweating, stuttering Dudu's name in fear. Uh-oh. Later, Luha tosses a huge sack onto her mount. I told Dudu to pick up a few healing potions, not a sack full, she complains. As Yonu and Luha prepare to depart, Yonu gives his final order. Look after the woods. Dudu offers his own advice. Stay alive, flee if you're overwhelmed. Be careful, Luha, Yonu. Wise words from our resident muscle. With that, the 2 swordsmen dash off, leaving Dudu and Hunya to protect the forest. Good luck, team. Far away, in a quiet study, Mojin examines Edvar's cracked spectacles. Man enters. It's I, Guan, he announces. Yes, I've been waiting for you, she replies. Intense, he addresses her as Seraph with urgent news. This can't be good. Guan assumes she knows why he's here. It's why she called the magicians. He formally requests permission to go to Totalican, strip Edvar of his title, and purify the girl's soul. That's a tall order. Then he asks her point blank what she's truly planning. Mojan coolly observes, you seem too determined for just permission. Guan admits it's true, she's got his number. She reminds him she appointed him for his calm, not just his resurrection skills. Apparently he's usually chill. She trusts his conviction but gives one strict order. Under no circumstances are you to handle Acheron alone. Famous last words, maybe? Guan vows to heed her warning. Silently she begs, please, do not die. The ultimate farewell. Guan gives a slight nod. He excuses himself, assuring her concerns won't come to pass, and leaves. But once outside, his expression turns somber. She has already foreseen my death. Yep, classic pre-mission death flag. Meanwhile, high above the mountains, Bato carries his passengers. Mochart pipes up, "Dad, are we almost there? Patience, kiddo?" Bato replies that after the lush pasture and Mirror Island, they'll see their destination. Almost there, gang? Hardin, however, worries about his old friend. He tells Bato not to push it. They've flown full speed for 3 days straight. Bato brushes off Hardin's concerns, boasting he's still full of magic. They'll arrive before morning. He's built different. As they soar through the night, Mochart and Ranghe sit together on Bato's back, taking in the view. Mochart breaks the silence, poking Rangha's cheek. She asks if he knows anyone in Mobiante, but he just bluntly says no. She doesn't buy it, asking why he's smiling if he's not meeting a friend. Good question. Ranghe clarifies. He doesn't know anyone, but he's super excited to meet someone. Intriguing. His answer puzzles Mochart, but Ranghe just looks ahead, a small, confident smile on his face. Who could it be? A few hours later, Rangha speaks up. "Hey Mochart, you sleeping?" "Well, I just fell asleep and then you woke me up," she replies grumpily. He hits her with the truly crucial question. What's an AN? Mochart snaps back. First, an apology. Second, were you raised in the mountains or something? Are you truly that clueless? His eyes light up. How did you know? You really DP know everything. Mochart just lets out the heaviest sigh of her life. She's officially given up. There's so much to teach you, she mutters. Where do I even begin? She starts the story. In the beginning, God's song created the world, and its melody birthed all souls. That's why everyone is born with a unique spiritual wavelength, like a magical birthmark. For humans, it's on their fingers, aka fingerprints. For ergas like her, it's on their ears. Ranghe looks at his own hands. Oh, I have those too. He continues. Everyone has a soulmate whose wavelengths resonate perfectly. That's your AN. Ranghe, ever the romantic, just shrugs. So, what's the point of finding them? Mochart explains, for mages, if your souls resonate, your magical powers get boosted exponentially. There's something even better than that, my friend. Everlasting love. Ranghe's completely baffled. Love? Is that actually as good as magic, though? Mochart officially gives up. Ranghe leans on Hardin's furry back, still asking, do I have an AN? How would I even find them? She explains that an ancient book says you just need to look into their eyes. More precisely, you're seeing their very soul, which resides right there in their gaze. Rangha's eyes widen. He's processing this new, world-altering information. Suddenly, he grabs Mochart's face in both hands. She's stunned, but he just stares intently into her eyes. I'm checking to see if you're my AN, he declares. Furious, she shoves him back and pokes him square in the eyes. Obviously, I am not. Ouch. My eyes, he screams. Hardin's voice cuts in. Why are you kids still up? Ranghe is practically bawling. Hardin teases them, saying the youngins already have eyes for each other. Ranghe protests. Yeah, I got eyes, but she poked them. High above the clouds, Bato smugly gives his approval, while Mochart frantically denies everything. The scene shifts to a flashback, because of course it does. In a roaring coliseum, a massive, brutish fighter swings his axe at a much smaller blonde opponent. The brute easily overpowers the young warrior, bending his sword with sheer, raw strength. But the young fighter Mino is quick. He dodges, then slams the pommel of his broken sword right into the giant's face. The hulking gladiator wobbles and collapses, defeated. The crowd goes absolutely wild for the young champion. Watching from the royal box, a young Princess Ophelia feels her heart pound. Her father, the king, is surprised she's even watching instead of demanding to fight herself. Ophelia thinks to herself, well, that's because Mino's guaranteed to win this year. The king lectures her on the importance of dignity for a royal, not just being a good sword fighter. He admits Mino is skilled. The defeated gladiator pants heavily, shocked he struggled so much against last year's winner. The king asks who the unfamiliar boy is. Ophelia replies, it's Mino, the son of a servant at her swordsmanship school. The king notes with disappointment that as a serf's son, Mino can't become a knight unless a noble claims him as property. Bro is stuck in a bad system. Ophelia looks on with determined eyes thinking, he's also my AN. Well, that's a plot twist, isn't it? She silently cheers for him, her voice a desperate thought. Don't lose, Mino. Don't you dare lose. Later, after his victory, Mino looks up from the castle grounds, almost as if he heard her silent call. Ophelia waves from a balcony, congratulating him on his victory and becoming a knight. Mino, stunned, addresses her formally. He bows deeply, thanking her, but she tells him to act normal since they're friends. Mino hesitates. That was before I knew who you actually were, Your Highness. Suddenly, a sparkling object flies through the air towards him. Ophelia tells him it's a protective, God-blessed earring to keep him safe on his upcoming expedition. Mino looks at the gold earrings, speechless. Ophelia admits she doesn't even believe in magic, but it's her way of wishing him a safe return. Just remember, she says with a smile, you belong to me wherever you may be. Not subtle at all, Ophelia. Mino looks up, his expression unreadable, taking in her bold words. The memory fades. Back in the desolate throne room, the adult Ophelia lies trembling on the floor, whispering, Mino, my sword, my Ain. Edvar stands over her with his winged familiar, Rue, remarking that she's completely unraveled with grief. Rue asks, now that we've gotten what we wanted, why don't you just finish her? But Edvar simply orders, let her go. Rue is confused, pointing out she served her purpose and could cause problems later. Rue starts to argue, but a single cold glance from Edvar makes her flinch and immediately submit. She bows her head. I shall obey. Later, Rue abandons Ophelia in a dark, snowy forest. She tells the unconscious princess she has no ill will, but as the sole survivor of the strongest empire, Ophelia's a threat. The woods are now infested with magical creatures awakened by the demon's lair, so Ophelia won't survive even if she wakes up. Nice. With that, Rue flies off, leaving the broken empress to a truly grim fate. As Ophelia slowly pushes herself up from the ground, she finds herself surrounded by a pack of massive, shadowy wolves with glowing red eyes. A massive, shadowy wolf with demonic red eyes snarls, drool dripping from its bared teeth. The pack dashes forward, closing in on the kneeling Ophelia in the snow. But just as they're about to strike, a figure suddenly lands between her and the beasts. Talk about a dramatic entrance. The mage Guan, who calmly begins an incantation. Infested souls, receive my holy benediction. A small, glowing orb of blue light forms in his hand as he commands them to release their murderous intent. He unleashes the spell, and a massive sphere of holy energy erupts, engulfing the entire wolf pack. Boom. And just like that, the explosive chaos gives way to a quiet night in a peaceful village. A woman approaches a rustic house, urgently knocking and calling for Magician Van. A voice from inside grumbles that he's done for the day. But then, the door creaks open to reveal a man in a strange, beaked mask. The woman tearfully grabs his hands, thanking him for saving her husband. Van, ever humble, dismisses it as his duty as a mage. She offers him a large jar of honeysuckle nectar, getting emotional. It's the only gift she can give, she explains. Van accepts the gift, and she wishes him a safe journey home. They wave goodbye. Once inside, Van is delighted. He whispers to himself, honeysuckle nectar is his absolute favorite. Awesome. But before Van can even pop the cork, Master Guan teleports in, carrying an unconscious woman. Guan immediately starts chewing him out. The order to gather was sent yesterday. Why is he still here being lazy? Van just sighs. Guan is still the same, always barging in and yelling. Some things never change, huh? He asks what brings Guan here, and more importantly, who is the unconscious woman? Guan gently lays her on a bed. He explains she's had a dangerous mental breakdown and needs help immediately. He looks Van dead serious. You can be late for the magician's meeting, so do everything you can to save her, he commands. Van, now sweating, asks again, who exactly is this woman? Guan doesn't answer. Instead, he lifts his hand and summons a massive, ominous golden orb that lands with a clunk. But surprise! The ominous orb poofs into a pile of adorable puppies. Van's instantly overjoyed, laughing as they swarm him and lick his mask. He tells them to stop, it tickles. He asks why Guan brought them, but his joy turns to horror. The little monsters are slurping up his now spilled, precious nectar. Guan lectures him about never shunning those in need. But Van just shouts back, you know that's not what I mean. Meanwhile, we cut to the prestigious Mobiante Magic School. Class is in session. A professor explains the basic theory of the 7 great magics: spiritual, summoning, transformation. The gang's all here. She tells the students they develop separately, but they all come from the same root and are often used together. To demonstrate, she summons a small flame with the help of a spirit, and then uses creation magic to bring it to life as a tiny fire creature. Pretty neat, right? The students watch in amazement as she lets the little creature dash across the stage. Finally, she casts another spell. It gets bigger and stronger. Now it's a massive, fiery beast towering behind her. She reminds them this is only possible with skill. So practice every basic theory diligently, kids. A second woman, Meister Claude, steps up to thank the magic agent Lacia for the lecture. Before she can finish, a student shoots his hand up with a question. Lacia agrees to answer. The young boy bolts upright, asking about the Vorvo festival. He excitedly explains it's the day the sacred Vorvo tree loses its leaves. This tree was used by the great mage Rangder Kessel. He asks if the legend is true. Can you really meet your and your soulmate when the leaves fall? Lacia explains the old tale. Rangder Kessel's Ain planted the tree. She cast a spell so those searching would find their soulmates. Claude confirms it's a famous Mobiante legend. The boy, getting bold, asks Lacia if she has an Ain. The whole class gets hyped. Who could it be? Is it Magic Agent Guan? One student yells. Oof, right to the heart, kid. Claude tries to scold them for being rude, but the students just beg for an answer. Lacia clears her throat, ready to answer the eager students. She reveals her Ain was a normal human, not gifted with magic. He passed away long ago, she says. Meeting one isn't required to master magic, she clarifies. but she confirms the legend is true and wishes them all luck at the festival. After the lecture, Claude catches up to Lassia. She apologizes for the students bringing up uncomfortable memories. Lassia smiles, reminding Claude that she asked the very same thing when she was young. The memories of her late AN aren't all bad, she explains. In fact, they're precious to her. She tells Claude she wasn't upset. Go make some precious memories of your own, dear apprentice. The scene changes to a lonely beach at sunset. Mojan stands by the waves, lost in thought. She looks down at a simple gold ring on her finger. A flashback shows another hand that once wore it. In this memory, a younger, bright-eyed Mojan admires the ring, asking where he got it. Ranger Kessel tells her it symbolizes her being his AN. He explains that his friend Melon Bellatorio forged it for them. Elf tears and dwarven minerals, folks. Talk about a bespoke accessory. A worried Mojin asks what would happen if she lost something so precious. He tells her that's impossible. He's cast a spell on it, after all. He swears an oath that the ring will always find its master, no matter what. Oaths do not disappear, he says with conviction. He touches her face and promises to be with her for all eternity. But back in the present, Mojan whispers sadly, no. She says to herself that the oath vanished with him years ago, and it was all her fault. The passage of time is meaningless now. She's tried to live as he did, but she can't take a single step forward. Her memories are stuck in that time, frozen forever. She's starting to forget the details of his face, the way she felt all those years ago. Heavy stuff, folks. Lost, she silently pleads for guidance. What is she supposed to do now? Suddenly, a voice cuts through the silence, calling her name. She turns confused, only to be met with a memory, a vision of her beloved calling out her full name. Vision hits her like a lightning bolt. Her heart pounds in her chest. But wait, it's not a memory. A real voice speaks, and standing before her is a pink-haired boy. After centuries of planning, Mojin finally comes face to face with Rangha. What a reunion. They stare at each other for what seems like an eternity. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Finally, Ranghe breaks the silence. You're Mojin, aren't you? But as he reaches out, she holds up a firm hand. Stop. Don't come any closer. Her voice is cold. I have nothing to say or to hear from you. Mojin walks past him, leaving him stunned. His heart sinks as he whispers, why did you abandon me? She stops. He continues, his voice cracking with emotion. Hardin told me you love and miss me more than anyone. Asks again, so why did you leave me? Mojan stays silent, her face a mask of sorrow. She just can't answer him. Suddenly, a shout shatters the tension. Ranghe! A tiny fly buzzes his face. He turns, surprised. Moshart? Before he can react, Moshart appears with a poof. She smacks him with a flying kick. You punk, why are you wandering off? I was looking all over. As Ranghe nurses his head, she keeps scolding him. I told you to stay still until we meet the Seraph. She glances around nervously. You don't even know anyone here. Who were you? Her voice trails off. Then she spots Mojin. Completely starstruck, Moshart stammers an introduction. She's the daughter of Bak, the fourth Bato. It's a great honor. Mojin calmly nods. I see, everyone has arrived, I guess. Let's go. She says they shouldn't be kept waiting. With a flash of magic, she teleports them all away. Just like that. In a blink, they appear inside a building. There's Hardin, holding a tiny fluffy Bato, and the mage from earlier, Lassia. Mojin greets Hardin. Ranghe and Moshart are totally disoriented. What just happened? We were at a beach a second ago. Then Mojin notices Bato. Looks like he expended a large amount of energy. Bato laughs, admitting it's the most comfortable way to recharge. Mojin thanks Bato for his help. He insists it was nothing. He'd go to hell if she asked, he says. Just a little tired. She turns to the other mage. Lassia, please give us a moment. I'd like to be alone with Hardin. Yes, Seraph. Lassia taps her staff. She vanishes in a puff of smoke. Mojin and Hardin are finally alone. The moment Lassia is gone, Mojin's strength fails. She collapses to the floor. A shocked Hardin rushes to her side. Mojin, are you all right? Weakly, she reaches for him. Hardin, just a moment. Please stay like this for a moment. Meanwhile, in Tutalikan, something sinister is brewing. A dark vortex rumbles over P-Gelt Castle. Deep within, a terrifying voice echoes. Did you wake me? Tell me what you want. Dakaron, the OG demon head. So, all parts get a nickname? Cool. The demon offers him power, but Edvar coldly rejects it. Akiran chuckles, its voice dripping menace. Then did you wake me to become my prey? Your soul looks delicious. The demon's tendrils lash out. It smells magic on Edvar. It remembers the mage who defeated it, vowing to swallow him whole. Edvar remains unimpressed. He calls Acheron a weak parasite, feeding on fear. However, you want more than that, don't you? Acheron's form squirms with curiosity. Edvar makes a bold proposal. Be my familiar. He promises to find all of Acheron's lost parts. Torso, limbs, tail, even its heart. He'll make it whole again. Until then, Acheron will serve him as his familiar. He gives his word, swearing an oath to set it free once restored. Acheron finds this amusing. It agrees, but with a chilling condition. Fine. When that moment comes, I will eat your soul first. Acheron's dark energy swirls around Edvar. It whispers its desire for a powerful meal. It needs prey with enough juice to feed the demon's head. And Edvar, folks, definitely has someone in mind. Just then, a voice cuts through the darkness. Are you talking about me, Edvar? Edvar's eyes open, but he's not surprised at all. He turns to the newcomer, coolly remarking, "You came just in time." He knew it. Mojin said she was sending someone. He figured it'd be none other than magic agent Guan. Guan, with his piercing blue eyes, replies, "You must have very high expectations of me." Without another word, he lets his beads drop. They crash onto the stone floor with a massive crash. Locking eyes with Edvar, he makes a promise. "In that case, I won't disappoint you." What a Sigma! True to his word, magic agent Guan wastes no time. He charges Edvar, and folks, the main event in Tutalican just began. Channeling his power, Guan utters a single word, "Arm." Instantly, a glowing chakram-like weapon materializes around his fist. Then, he swings it with everything he's got. A huge crescent of energy blasts through the air, heading straight for Edvar. But Edvar barely bats an eye. He just casually raises a hand. With a surge of demonic energy, he stops the powerful attack dead in its tracks. No sweat. The deflected blast rockets right past him, slamming straight into the city walls. And just like that, a massive hole is ripped through the fortress. Edvar grins, turning to Guan. "Self-control is a virtue," he says, "but don't spare your magic too much. Dude's just built different." Not missing a beat, Guan swings again, his attack slamming down on Edvar. The impact shatters the stone wall behind him, yet Edvar remains completely unharmed. He casually catches Guan's arm, completely unimpressed. "You can't harm my soul with just strengthening magic," he states. Guan's eyes narrow. He changes tactics, invoking a new, darker power. "King of the Abyss, hear your master's call." For the first time, Edvar actually looks intrigued, a subtle smile playing on his lips. Suddenly, 10 golden orbs appear, circling them on the ground. Suddenly, these orbs pop open, revealing giant, twitching eyeballs. Edvar actually breaks a sweat. This is next-level magic, folks. Edvar leaps high into the air as Guan screams the final command. "Open!" A truly horrifying maw erupts from the ground, its throat lined with countless grasping hands, ready to swallow Edvar whole. Not a good look. Meanwhile, the scene shifts. The mysterious masked healer, Saint Death Van, tells his origin story. "In my hometown Mobiante," he says, "we have a magic school called Malivolge." He explains they teach magic to chosen children, but he was always the troublemaker, always in last place. The teacher was Guan, the best summoner in the world. Van wanted nothing more than to be just like him. But one day, ambition got the best of him. He tried to summon a powerful fire spirit without a contract. The spirit retaliated, taking his face as its devastating price. He screams in agony as the flames consume him. He says he lost not just his face, but his will as a mage. He was left with no dreams, no hope. That's when Master Guan stepped in, suggesting he learn healing magic. Van admits it was daunting, but Guan hoped it would give him a new dream. A dream to help others who had suffered just like him. That determination forged him into the person he is today, the first and only magician, besides the Seraph, to master healing magic at Malivolja. What an achievement. What an amazing and miraculous twist of fate, don't you think, he asks. Walks over to the sleeping Ophelia, warning her that her grief will lead to her death if she doesn't fight it. He tells her not to lose to herself. No pain or misery lasts forever, he implores. They are bound to be forgotten and healed, he adds. He implores her, please open your eyes and accept a new destiny, dear Empress of Tutalican. Meanwhile, on Mage's Island, Ranghe is having his very first magic lesson with Lasia. Ranghe nods. Yeah, he says, I don't want someone precious to me getting hurt ever again. Lasia warns him it's the most difficult of the 7 magics. Besides the Seraph, only one other mage has ever mastered it. She explains that everything is tied to the flow of time, and every part of the body has its own unique timeline. Ranghe is completely baffled. Sorry, he says, but I don't understand a thing you're saying. Lasia simplifies, you can't create an arm that's gone, that's creation magic. Ranghe realizes that's why his appear command didn't work before. But, she explains, you can turn back the time of the arm to before it was damaged. That's the secret to true healing. She opens the doors to a massive archive, explaining it contains every record of the Great Grand Mage's magic. It's a restricted area, but she says the Seraph made an exception for Ranghe, ordering he be given anything he asks for. Ranghe is in awe. All of these books contain records of Rangderkessel's magic, he asks. Lasia confirms it has everything he mastered. Healing, spiritual, transformation, and strengthening. As Lasia wishes him luck, Ranghe speaks up. I was wondering, is there a record regarding ANs in here? He asks, totally out of left field. Meanwhile, in another part of the tower, Hardin's arm is being healed. Mojin performs soul regeneration, a complex magic where past and future intersect. Her hands glow as she restores his mangled arm. She tells him the pain will fade, but he can't use magic for a while. The time reversal needs to set in. If he does, the delicate balance of time coexisting in his body could shatter completely. The man understands, but his first concern is for her. Are you all right? He asks. Mojin coldly brushes him off. I'm fine. It's nothing you, who had your arm stolen by plundering magic, need to worry about, she replies. As she walks away, she adds, how could you compare the pain you carry with my wound? Thoughts drift. It was my fault, she thinks. Had I known how difficult it would be for you. Hardin approaches Mojin, confessing he shouldn't have brought Ranghai, but she cuts him off, insisting it wasn't his fault. Her own arrogance brought this pain, and she must be the one to endure it. She knew resurrecting Ranghai would twist destiny, and now there's no way to undo it. Hardin tries to be optimistic, arguing it's too soon to be discouraged since only one seal stone has been awoken. He tells her that since she's gathered the magicians, they can correct Edvar's mistake, but Mojin stops him cold. It is not the only one. Hardin is completely stunned, barely able to process what she just said. Mojin then drops the final, devastating bombshell. Edvar was not the only one to have awakened a seal stone. Boom! Despite the growing threat Mojin just revealed, life, or at least festivals, must go on. So, in Mobiante, a massive crowd is already buzzing, ready for the annual Vorvo festival. Then, a roar of excitement erupts. Their beloved leader, Mojin Parsun, the one and only ruler of Mobiante, finally appears. She stands high on a balcony, a sacred book clutched in her hands, looking down at her adoring public. She cracks open the ancient tome and starts reciting a powerful blessing. Mojin blesses all the Ains, the fated soulmates, wishing their magical energy to burn brighter than ever. A warm, magical glow bathes the crowd, everyone calling it the Seraph's Grace. Pretty fitting, huh? Couples throughout the audience turn, eyes locked, beaming with love and joy. All the good vibes, folks. But hold on a second. While she's blessing everlasting love, Mojin's inner thoughts are anything but sweet. Her serene mask shatters, revealing a cold, utterly weary expression. Hardin suggests a daring plan. Evacuate the entire island. Mojin scoffs. Is he seriously suggesting she announce the prophesied doomsday during a festival? She knows there's no safe haven from the terrifying king of destruction anyway. The old man goes silent. Mojin grimly adds that if they fail, everything will be utterly annihilated. No way is she spoiling this holy day by announcing everyone's potential demise. Total buzzkill. She turns to her other companion asking, Lacia, where are the magicians? Lacia confirms they're all waiting in the Garden of Scholars. Mojin knows the island's force field is down for the festival. Their enemy will seize this chance to snatch Ram, the demon's heart. She orders Lacia to restore it right away. Lacia, ever loyal, quietly agrees to the mission. Meanwhile, in a super quiet library, we find Moshart chilling on a windowsill. She's watching the noisy festival below when Ranghe calls her. Moshart, I think I've found her. Ranghe announces he's found his Ain. He knew it the second he saw her eyes. Moshart is surprised. She wonders who could make this mountain hick so ridiculously confident. Ranghe looks up, bright-eyed, and declares his Ain is none other than Mojin Parsun, the seraph they just met. Moshart is utterly speechless for a second, then explodes. What? She immediately shuts him down. It's not just about a quick eye scan, dude. There needs to be a deep emotional connection. Do you think love is some kind of joke? She scolds, clearly annoyed. Ranghe admits it's weird. He's sure Mojin is his Ain, but her reaction to him was, well, nothing. That's why he's diving into Ain research. Moshart just rolls her eyes, calling him the weirdest person ever. Fed up, Moshart points to the door. Stop rambling nonsense. Come outside with me. When Ranghe asks why, she explodes. Because there's a massive festival happening right now, you bookworm? Ranghe refuses, remembering Hardin's strict warning. He shouldn't be seen out there. Moshart snaps back that it's only because he's a trouble magnet, but quickly gives up the argument. Some battles aren't worth fighting, my friend. Changing tactics, she pulls out her trusty invisibility cloak. You can sneak around unseen then. Ranghe just shrugs back to his books. Moshart yells in frustration. We seriously do not mesh at all. Not giving up on this dude, she dangles a different prize. The legendary magic satchel that can hold absolutely anything. Ranghe recognizes it from the store. She offers it up if he'll just hang out with her for a single hour. Fair trade, right? He snatches the bag instantly, but then his brain kicks in. Wait, why do you have this? Elsewhere, the real drama unfolds. In the Garden of Scholars, a group of powerful magicians have gathered. The second magician, Bleety Leo, immediately starts complaining. He doubts this meeting is just for the festival, bored, naturally, and asks his companion Renee if he has any intel on what's actually happening. The fourth magician, Salvador Renee, is a bizarre dude with a birdcage for a head, or is he a bird with a scarecrow body? Bleety, already annoyed, demands to know why Renee can't just speak normal human language. A muscular man with fiery red hair translates for Bleedy. He said, "I'm thinking, so shut your mouth, fool. Burn." The fifth magician, Great Pablo, scolds Bleety. Alternate world languages are a required course in school, apparently. Bleedy just scoffs, clearly unimpressed. Renee's chirps again, earning a death glare from Bleedy. A new voice cuts in. An elven woman with a bow asks if it's just the four of them here. Bleedy replies it's 5, including Claude. But Ban, of course, will probably be late as usual. Bleedy jumps, yelling at the elf Gustav for sneaking in totally silently. Talk about stealth? The seventh magician, Holly Gustav, ignores Bleedy completely. She notes Edvar's strange absence, given his loyalty to the Seraph. Just then, a voice from the doorway announces, "Edvar will not be joining us today, folks." The voice continues, "Because the entire reason we're here is because of his absence." Magic agent Lucia enters, followed by Meister Claude and a man who shocks everyone, Hardin. And right behind them, the massive Bato of the woods peeks his head in, greeting the utterly stunned magicians. What a squad. Sensing the super heavy atmosphere, Bleety Leo asks, "What in the world is going on here?" Lacia wastes absolutely no time. "I'll be straightforward since you're all here," she announces, cutting to the chase. Then she drops an absolute mind-blowing bombshell. "Tonight, Mobiante will completely vanish from the land." Total mic drop moment. Other magicians are left utterly speechless, their faces a beautiful mix of confusion and shock. The magicians are absolutely floored. Bleedy Leo cuts right to the chase. "Everything you just said was in Zenta Balthazar's prophecy of destruction?" Salvador Renee asks if this means Edvar, the guy who massacred Tutalakan and awoke a demon, knew about this prophecy all along. Bleedy slams his fist on the table, totally outraged. "That's absurd," he shouts, claiming no magician could possibly read that forbidden book. But Holly Gustav points out the obvious. Unless he'd read it himself, how would he even know if that's true? The prophecy itself is grimly clear. The evil deed of the one who awakes the demon shall indicate the beginning of destruction in the land. Holly adds that she actually remembers hearing about Zenta's dark prophecy from the Elf Queen when she was just a kid. Acia, ever the pragmatist, cuts in. She says whether Edvar knew or not doesn't even matter. What's important is the prophecy is about to become a very real nightmare. Great Pablo, still not buying it. Wasn't that book just a bunch of gibberish written by some lunatic mage? Bato calmly corrects him, calling that a common misconception. He explains that Zenta was actually a magic agent who assisted the Seraph, working right alongside Lacia and Guan. Plot twist, right? Pablo is absolutely stunned. What? The prophet Zenta was a magic agent? Bato keeps dropping bombs, revealing Zenta didn't even write the prophecies herself. She just transcribed records from the legendary Grand Mage Rangder Kessel. Lacia confirms Zenta was the Seraph's favorite magic agent. She was basically the OG influencer of her time, you know? But then, Zenta mysteriously vanished, and after that, her prophecy and anything connected to her was conveniently banned. Suspicious much? Claude looks super worried. What can we even do? You're not telling us to just sit here and wait for destruction to strike, are you? Bleety, ever the action man, leans back with a confident grin. It's simple. We go to Tutalakan right now and teach Edvar a lesson he won't forget. Hardin has more intel. According to the Seraph, there are 2 places where the demon's lair has manifested. Liddy looks completely confused as Hardin adds a new twist. She also said that someone else will appear soon to awaken the remaining seal stones. The old elf concludes gravely, "We don't know which one is the true sign of destruction, but we do know what we must protect." Meanwhile, we zoom out to the Vorvo festival, now in full swing. Lanterns light up the streets as pink petals drift through the air. Total chill vibes, right? Moshart strolls through the happy crowd with a cloaked Ranghe. "See, aren't you glad you came out? Even the air smells different now." She nudges him, playfully adding, "This is way more fun than hurting your brain with boring books. Am I right, my friend?" Ranghe, ever the quiet one, remains silent, but Moshart's attention is quickly stolen. "Hey, look! A puppet show." The puppeteer's show depicts the great mage Rangder Kessel confronting the Demon King. Moshart laughs, instantly recognizing the epic tale. She turns to share the moment, but he's gone. "Ranghe, did you hear me? Are you still here?" Frustrated, she runs off to find him. "Where did this punk go this time?" she mutters. Elsewhere, on a quiet, serene beach, a quirky 3-eyed crab shuffles along the sand. Just chilling, you know? It taps on a small, armored creature, which then cautiously peeks out from its shell. Peak wildlife documentary moment, folks. Ranghe's watching all this, his mind completely consumed with thoughts of his AN. He remembers exactly how she looked when he met her on this spot, and that strikingly familiar soul he saw reflected deep in her eyes. He recalls her raising a hand to stop him. He remembers her cold tone and icy attitude. This crushing memory fills him with endless doubt and a sudden, overwhelming loneliness. Talk about a mood killer. Far away, someone's watching him. It's Mojin. she whispers his name sadly. Suddenly, the glasses in her hand crack. That's a sign, folks. Something is about to hit the fan. Back at the beach, the water in front of Ranghe begins to bubble violently. Then, a huge splash erupts from the sea, startling him big time. He stares in absolute shock at what he sees. The terrifying beginning of destruction itself. 3 glowing orbs appear. Back in the village, Mochart frantically calls out his name, wondering where the heck he went. Ugh, I'm getting a very bad feeling about this, she mutters. I feel like he's gonna cause some serious trouble. Suddenly, a wave of panicked villagers rushes past her, screaming. She watches them flee, completely bewildered. Why is everyone freaking out? She notices them all looking up. They look like something is falling from the sky, she thinks. It's never a good sign. Her eyes follow their panicked gaze and she sees several glowing woven spheres streaking down from above. Oh, that's not good, she gasps, realizing the immediate danger. What the heck? She yells, scrambling to get away as one of the massive objects hurtles right for her. Mochart hits the ground hard, dazed and disoriented from the explosion. She looks up, wondering what the actual hell that was, and sees a massive, raging sphere of energy pulsating in the distance. Not a pretty sight. She realizes with growing horror that this mass of rock and raw energy seems to be alive. The sphere erupts, forming a colossal muscular stone golem that lets out a terrifying roar. Yeah, it's definitely alive, and it's pissed. From a high vantage point, the full, horrifying scale of the attack becomes clear. Fiery projectiles rain down on Mobiante, turning it into chaos. Lacia suddenly appears before Mojun, urgently reporting that magical creatures are now attacking the central village. Mojun seems utterly unfazed. This is all going exactly as predicted. She orders Lacia to relay their duties to the other magicians. She declares that she's personally going to deal with those hulking golems. Before she can leave, Lacia stops her. May I ask you something? She says, clearly nervous. She needs to know about the demon's heart, about Ryome. Meanwhile, down at the village, fiery meteors tear through the sky, crashing down on the festival. Celebration turns to chaos, forcing terrified villagers to flee for their lives. These aren't just rocks, folks. Massive projectiles detonate in the town's square, obliterating everything. From the smoking craters, the real threats emerge. Survivors scream in terror as colossal stone giants begin to claw their way out, ready to wreak some serious havoc. A golem's massive foot slams down, flattening everything. Soon, another joins the march of destruction. It's a full-on rock concert, but with way more screaming. Its eyes glow ominously. Then, boom! A devastating explosion rips through the city streets. Another golem lifts its massive stone fist. It smashes into the ground, obliterating everything unlucky enough to be underneath it. Local mages try to fight back, launching magical blasts at the golem's neck, but it just fizzles out. Zero effect. Nada. They watch in horror, realizing their attacks are too weak. These aren't just monsters, these are raid bosses. They just need to hold the line until the high-level mages to arrive. Where are the adults when you need them? Suddenly, a voice cuts through the chaos, telling them to back away. It's Mojun. Finally, the cavalry. Lassie is there too and volunteers to take the first one. She starts her incantation and leaps into the air. She's casting her ultimate, Ice Attack. Lacia then slams her staff, now a massive fist of solid ice, directly into the golem's face. The golem reels back from the staggering blow. Lacia just stares it down, eyes still glowing. Total alpha move. With a massive wham, the golem's entire upper body liquefies. The frozen remains splash down, melting into a pool of sludge. The other mages are completely stunned. No cap, that was pretty epic. Lacia lands and reports these aren't just any monsters. They're fire golems from the volcano of Veladi. Mojun confirms it. These creatures were conjured using a form of black magic. A robed man with a flaming staff emerges from the smoke. So it was you, Polma Ascal, Mojun declares. The figure approaches and the crowd recognizes him in disbelief. Polma, the sage of Velodi? Bro is not going to teach anyone any wisdom today. Mojun confronts him. She demands to know how he, a man whose calling is to spread knowledge, could be so utterly filled with evil. Polma flips the script. He asks the benevolent Seraph why she remains on this sacred ground of death. Mojun knew that this land would be destroyed when a seal stone awakened. Why didn't she give her people a chance to flee? Everyone is confused. What's this dude talking about? Lacia is absolutely furious. How could a good sage accept evil, she asks, and try to insult the seraph? Her eyes flash white with rage. Say one more word, she threatens, and I'll rip out your tongue. Someone's not having a good day. Polma ignores the death threat. He explains he's just human, unable to discern good from evil. His endless search for God's logic always led to the same dark conclusion. His eyes glow red. He wishes to bring an answer to the seraph. He reveals a glowing red seal stone in his palm. Uh-oh. That can't be good. He calls for a total reset through destruction. He claims too many beings have fallen beyond redemption. Classic villain monologue right there. Mojun recognizes the stone with horror, Plegaton, the demon's arms. She asks if he truly plans to resurrect the demon. I'll show you personally, Polma states. Fiery tendrils of demonic energy erupt from his hand, enveloping his arm. He boasts this is a piece of the King of Destruction's power, something unattainable through mere magic. Guess he decided to get a power-up. Mojin yells for Lassia. Lassia immediately dashes forward, eyes glowing yellow, summoning a sword of light. She materializes a brilliant blade of light and prepares to strike. Mojin screams, "No, stop." But Lassia is already committed. She leaps, bringing her sword down on Polma. Polma's eyes glow white. "You are reckless," he says. Meanwhile, in another part of town, a straw hand smacks the ground and a cute bird chirps an incantation. It's Salvador Rene, working hard on a magic circle. Back in the village, Moshart is cornered. "Don't do this," she pleads. One of the stone giants is glaring down at her. Giant is about to smack down. But hold up, it's Dad. He grabs Moshart and whisks her away in the nick of time. They crash land on the ground. He slowly pushes himself up, groaning in pain. Ignoring his own injuries, he rushes to her side. "Moshart, are you all right?" Moshart looks up, stunned to see him there. Bato immediately starts scolding her. "Why were you just standing there screaming? You should have transformed and fled." He tells her to get to safety. She refuses, shouting that his magic hasn't recovered. He can't fight the golem alone. Bato stands before the hulking stone monster, completely unimpressed. I don't need magic to handle this small fry." His muscles tense and bulge as he powers up to the size of the golem. The golem flashes one of its eye laser beams, but Bato dodges and grabs it by the neck. "Go," he barks at Moshart. "You'll only get in my way." Tough love, Bato style. Then, with one final earth-shattering slam, he drives the golem's head straight into the ground, completely obliterating it. What a flex. While Bato obliterates golems, chaos reigns across Mobiante. Meister Claude rushes to evacuate the children. "Stay calm, kids. Move it," she shouts, leading a terrified flock through the monster-infested streets. Suddenly, their escape route collapses as a building crumbles before them. A kid screams, but Claude's already on it, hand out, ready to cook. She conjures a dark magic sphere to intercept the falling rubble. The Spirit of Darkness answers. She shapes it to trap the massive debris. With a swift motion, the spell obliterates the obstruction. "Go, go, go," she urges as a fiery meteor streaks behind them. Meanwhile, across town, another golem gets absolutely wrecked. But don't celebrate yet. The seventh magician, Holly Gustav, realizes fire and brute force are useless here. Calling these things a nuisance, she materializes a glowing blue arrowhead. 3 glowing gems appear on her forehead as she channels pure power. An icy ring snaps around the golem's neck, freezing it in place. She pulls back her energy bow, letting loose a powerful ice arrow. Right between the eyes, the arrow strikes the golem's head. The golem's stony exterior cracks and crumbles under the icy magic. But before it drops, Holly wonders where her ally, Renee, is with their trump card. Bad news? A giant stone hand clamps down, trapping her in a nasty surprise. Holly struggles against the crushing grip. This golem means business. Talk about a clutch save. A new fighter leaps into the fray. It's great, Pablo. He unleashes a fiery rage, slamming his staff into the golem's back. Boom! A massive explosion blasts the creature to bits. Pablo lands like a boss. "Stay sharp," he tells Gustav. "Don't underestimate these guys," he warns. "There are way too many." Meanwhile, the fourth magician, Salvador Rene, is taking his sweet time drawing a summoning circle with his umbrella. He pauses as a massive golem foot stomps right in front of him. The golem stares blankly. Rene starts panicking. The stylish Bleedy Leo steps in, clearly annoyed. "No time for games, pal," he scoffs. "Scram." With a flick, he draws his sword and unleashes a blindingly fast wave starlight divider. One clean slice, and bye-bye golem head. As the golem crashes and meteors rain down, Rene claps like he's at a show. Bleedy snaps at him to stop messing around. "No time for clapping, dude." "Okay, finally serious." Rene pats his umbrella and touches the ground. With final bird chirp, a massive summoning circle erupts from the ground. Then a gigantic force field materializes. One by one, people start materializing inside the barrier. Mochart arrives with her tiny dad in her arms. We're in Mobiante's Grand Plaza, a mass evacuation point where magicians are popping in from everywhere. The entire population is being gathered inside this protective dome. Even magic agent Leisha pops in and she's not happy. "Remove the barrier," she commands. The Seraph is out there alone. Liddy tells her, we weren't the ones who put up the barrier and we didn't summon you either." They realize Mojin must have summoned them. But breaking the field could yeet everyone into an alternate dimension. Lacia clenches her fist, frustrated. "Mojin, what are you even doing?" Switching scenes. In a dark red abyss, a man resembling Edvar floats unconscious. "Edvar," a voice calls. His eyes snap open. The voice urges him to remember his human sympathy, his family's love. Remember pure hearts, it says, grateful souls, accepting their fate. Souls in the abyss, the voice declares, shall be purified and saved. I forgive your sins. The vision shifts to a burning village, his mother crying in terror. She's pulled away as she tries to reach for her husband, his dad. Edvar's mind replays this tragic memory. Back in the outside world, the bloody abyss begins to squirm and bubble. Suddenly, a hand erupts from the surface. A figure drenched in gore claws its way out, rising to its feet. It's Edvar. He confronts Guan, declaring his motive purer than anyone's. His hatred for humanity stems from inescapable memories. Don't try any of your petty tricks, he warns Guan. Guan just stares, horrified that Edvar was able to escape. With eyes glowing white, Edvar declares his true goal: saving the world from humanity. He channels dark energy, vowing to purify this world through death. Then, he unleashes his power, slamming down on Guan's summoning with a brutal POW Halavi. He screams this is his teacher's will, the one who resurrected the demon's heart. A will Guan could never comprehend. Guan is utterly stunned by the sheer power and twisted conviction. Suddenly, massive shadowy tendrils erupt around him. While Edvar's darkness engulfs Guan, chaos erupts across Mobiante. Ranghe sprints through the ravaged streets. His heart is pounding. He feels a painful pull, totally lost on what's even happening. He whips around a corner and freezes, eyes wide with pure shock. A colossal stone hand slams down, literally shaking the ground right in front of him. He manages to jump over it. He lands, dazed, barely asking, "What is that?" as the giant golem slowly turns its head. But before it can react, something utterly demolishes the golem's head. Ranghe doesn't even have time to process that before another monster's head falls and almost squishes him. "Yikes!" he yelps. Talk about a close shave. Out of the dust cloud lands a massive wolf-like beast. It's Hardin. Hardin pants, turning to the boy. "Ranghe, glad you're safe," he rumbles, clearly exhausted. Ranghe fires off questions. "What are these monsters? Why is the village burning?" Hardin says there's no time to explain, they have to leave now. But Ranghe, completely ignoring the urgency, asks, when did your arm grow back?" Hardin ignores the arm question and just roars, "Hurry!" Meanwhile, back at Tutalikan's Gelt Castle, Guan confronts Edvar. Edvar's attack? Just deflected. Ouch. Guan, with a piercing glare, tells him, "You just lost your last chance at revival." Edvar flashes forward with blinding speed. Guan dodges a grotesque fleshy tendril and they clash with explosive force. The blow's impact sends Edvar spinning, but a black vortex softens the blow. Edvar chants an incantation that sends two massive dark crescents from the ground around him. Guan still has some tricks up his sleeve. "Priest of the Wind," he calls. With a booming command, he summons a gigantic bearded wind spirit. The colossal spirit immediately grabs Edvar's shadowy tendrils, crushing them in its grip. Edvar counters with his own dark spell, a beam of dark matter that obliterates Guan's arm and smashes the wind spirit. Guan lands gracefully but bloody, declaring, "You have crossed the bridge of no return." He charges back in. But Edvar is somehow faster. He seizes Guan's other arm. You can practically hear the bone cracking under his grip. Edvar delivers the chilling truth. The one at death's door is you, Guan. Demonic tendrils erupt from Edvar's arm, wrapping around Guan and brutally squeezing the life right out of him. As Guan gets crushed, his golden orbs fly towards Edvar, their centers glowing with intense, desperate light. Orbs detonate in a blinding, earth-shattering explosion. Back in Mobiante, Lassia is confronting Mojin. "So that child is someone you resurrected using the demon's heart?" Mojin says Lassia can scorn her, but Lassia responds, "I don't scorn you. I am simply worried. The child's very existence in this world never should have happened. Rangdir Kessel's fate was sealed eons ago," she reminds Mojan. "Correcting these distortions? That's the solemn duty of every mage. And if they don't, this world will be destroyed." And yep, Mojan confirms, the ancient mage Zenta prophesied the exact same thing. Perhaps the demon of destruction can never disappear. Perhaps it was always fated to coexist with this land. And it was Mojin's ignorant desires and personal feelings that led to her master changing fate. Because of her interference, her master foresaw a tragic, dark future for them all. "The greatest evil my master worried about, it's inside my heart right now," she declares, voice cracking. And the child Edvar, her own student, saw the unshakable rage inside her while he was by her side. Back in the epic battle, Guan summons his ultimate power. A colossal, serpentine lightning dragon erupts from his magic circle. Edvar is unfazed. He lifts his hand, a sphere of raw dark energy appears. He chants a single chilling word, "disappear." The massive beast is utterly annihilated by that devastating blast. Mojin finally admits it, tearfully taking the full, crushing blame for absolutely everything. Polma Askal scoffs at her, calling it a shame, gripes that Edvar could have been a super valuable power source for him if everyone just left him alone. Typical. But Mojin, totally focused, is already preparing her final gambit. She's determined to break this tragic fate once and for all. Inside the dome, Lassia watches in horror, finally realizing the true weight of her words. He tells Lassia that if they survive, Lassia must take her place as seraph and carry on their master's teachings. The stakes, folks, are sky high. Meanwhile, back in the Guan-Edvar showdown, Guan's last golden orbs fall to the ground and shatter into pieces. Edvar stands alone in a stark white abyss. For light and darkness are just two sides of the same worn coin. Life and death are intertwined. After a meeting, a parting must follow. Time does not have a beginning or end. It is a continuous cycle. Nothing exists forever. Somewhere unknown and untouched by the chaos, a blank scroll is unfurled and a brush is dipped in paint. The scene pans out to a woman in gray working at her desk in a modern art studio. Holy plot twist, what is this? Alright, it's Hardin's POV now as he dashes to bring Ronghae to safety. Looks back on the past 17 years that he raised Rongha like a dad. But what's 17 years compared to the eternity he already lived as Rungder Kessel? He feels he's just a magical creature impersonating a human with magic learned from his master, Mojan. Hardin's pretty much lost. He can't even read his own master, Mojan, let alone figure out how to keep Ronghae safe. Despite the confusion, Hardin vows to protect them both, even if it costs him everything. Suddenly, Ronghae pipes up. Wrong way, dude. Mojin is still back in the burning village center. Hardin just lets out a growl, a clear "we are not going there, kid." He explains that anyone with Mojan's blessing got zapped into a protective force field. But if we leave Mojan now, she'll be destroyed with this island, Ronghae argues. What do you mean, kid? Mojan won't go down that easily. What do you mean destroyed? Hardin growls. Then it clicks, Mojan telling him that it's her fault and it's all hers to bear. She knew resurrecting Ronghae would mess with fate, and now there's no going back. Talk about a cosmic oopsie. Back in the present, Hardin slams on the brakes. Was this what Mojin was planning all along? He asks Ronghae if he's sure. Ronghae shouts, "How can you even think that? It's obvious because she's my Ain. Aren't Hins supposed to share soul memories?" So he felt Mojin was ready to die. His heart spoke, you know. Ronghae insists that he has to get to his soulmate. He cannot lose his Ain. So Hardin makes his decision and sprints straight back into the danger. Elsewhere, the villainous sage Polma Escal is feeling that victory is his. You cannot stop it, just succumb to your fate. Suddenly, Mojin is surrounded by masked assassins with blades gleaming. Her eyes glow green, and bam, she shoves her hand forward, unleashing a force wave that shatters masks and sends attackers flying. But the sheer numbers are overwhelming. Time for a devastating light spell. Who needs medical attention when you have magic? Massive light beams erupt from the ground, obliterating the assassins. Nothing but dust and smoke left. Pretty hardcore, Mojan. Inside the safe force field, Lassia taps the barrier, asking if everyone made it in. Lady confirms everyone's safe, except for a few stray magicians. Lassia hands him her staff, basically saying, "You're in charge now, good luck." Blitty immediately panics. Lassia declares she's opening the force field. No way she's leaving the Seraph to die alone. Of course. With a determined scream, Lassia pries open the very barrier she helped build. The barrier shatters, revealing the chaotic world outside. Back on the battlefield, Mojin is panting, bloody nose and all. Girl needs a break. Polma appears before her, all mock impressed. He compliments her, noting the force field, mass summoning, and spirits she pulled off. What a show-off. Mojin clutches her chest in agony. The strain is getting to her. Polma calls her worthy of the Seraph title, but reminds her of a crucial fact. After expending huge amounts of magic, a mage is at their absolute weakest. Villain Monologue 101. Then he unleashes a massive fireball, slamming it down hard on the already weakened Mojin. Dude's got no chill. The ground cracks. Mojin coughs up blood. Yeah, that's gotta hurt. We zoom back to Hardin, who is still wondering why. He's had his suspicions but couldn't quite piece it together. He couldn't fathom why someone with the demon's heart had such a pure, cheerful soul, just like Mojin. A real head-scratcher. The math is finally mathing. Mojin never gave Ronghae the demon's heart. It was her heart she placed in Ronghae. Back in the present, Mojin's spellbook hits the dirt. Polma has her by the throat, his fiery hand squeezing tight. He tells her her magic will be super useful for resurrecting the demon, offering her one final chance. Spoiler alert, it's not a good chance. Then he bellows, "Where is Perseidus' heart, Ram?" So many questions, so little time. Struggling, Mojin just glares and calls him a fool. She asks why he thinks her master split the demon's body to begin with. Good question. The demon parts were weaker when separated. And also, if these parts face off against each other, they can actually destroy each other. A quick flash and a black whirl, and suddenly Polma just splits in half. Surprise, it's Edvar. As Mojin finally collapses from exhaustion, Edvar swoops in, catching her before she faceplants. Holding his master protectively, Edvar glares at Polma and delivers a chilling warning. Do not use your power against my master. Then, the scene cuts away to a quiet, sunlit room. A small purple cat with a gem collar looks up, curious. That's a wrap on this recap. Hit that subscribe button to help us keep pumping out awesome content. Catch you in the next one.